what I find mad about it though? The fact that they went, I've got a gun to your head. You're sitting in a car. Give your phone. Not give me the car. Let me have your phone, but not get out the car.
I'm in traffic. What am I going to do? Sit and be like, oh, fuck. We didn't think this one through.
Get in the car and just sit there.
No, but
radio station soon. You
know what I mean?
Come past and they're just like, don't look.
People less stylish than ourselves.
Of course.
Not hard. If you're wondering, love the hoodies or the t-shirts or the other garments, and you're wondering...
that are hidden.
and you're wondering, well, where can I buy them? Bobby, where can they buy them?
Oh, I'll tell you. You can buy them at whatshappeninComedy.com/merch.
Whoa!
Ah! Please go on the website.
Just to let you know, whoa, isn't on the URL.
It's not on the web address.
Just so you know.
It could be.
Because imagine trying to type that in because you don't know how many O's or A's or H's are in the wow! Just letting you know.
Okay, for all the confusion, it's whatshappeninComedy.com/merch. Please get over there, support us, look like us, be sexy and stylish like us.
Walk around in Fruit of the Loom gear. It's fantastic.
Nah. It's not Fruit of the Loom, but you won't know that unless you buy it. So get over there, whatshappeninComedy.com/merch. Motherfuckers.
It's not Fruit of the Loom. Hello and welcome back, episode 84 of the What's Happening podcast.
It's good to be back.
It is. It's good to be back in the studio. Hope you've all had a great week. Hope you're all had a lovely day. It's been raining in Liverpool. I hope it's been sunny wherever you are. In the studio this week, we're joined by none other than Mr. Dustin Moore.
Yes, baby.
Dustin,
Thanks for having me.
how you doing? Thanks for coming down.
I'm amazing.
Lovely.
to be part of it.
Thank you for coming down as well. It's an absolute pleasure.
So obviously we always have some great questions to ask our guests. Where did it all begin? Where did it all begin? How was your birth?
Let me explain the birth.
His mum had sex with his dad.
My dad's nuts. Yeah.
So for anyone who might be watching and who doesn't know you or what you do, just give us a quick briefing of who you are and what you're doing. And where do you hail from?
Yeah, fair enough. So I'm from South Africa, and I'm a comedian. Like Danny, I don't know, Bobby, have you?
No.
He's a DJ.
You have a DJ.
I'm a DJ.
It's close enough.
Yeah.
And then Chris?
It's just weird,
No,
don't I?
so
She's got a run-of-the-mill job.
it's not important. On the pod.
I don't know.
Gary's not here.
I'll just say I act.
Yeah, he's an actor. Yeah.
I'm an actor.
There we go.
Yeah.
So South Africa, What made you? What? How did you end up over here?
It was always part of the plan, man. Like the comedy industry here is just sick, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know? And my grandmother's Welsh, my granddad was Scottish.
Oh,
So
really? So
I'm not really leaving. I'm coming home.
Yeah,
You know what
I
mean?
like that.
Yeah.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And when was it? I'm assuming you started your career in comedy in South Africa. What made you want to get into it? How did you start?
Oh, mate, that's such a cool question. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone has a story. I watched a comedian once when I was 12. And I remember, I was like, man, this is magic.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same.
It was a morning breakfast. It was a cancer fundraising breakfast. So it was just the most heartbreaking, miserable thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone's like, death, cancer. And then they brought in this comedian, and he was just lit the room up. And I was 12, and I was like, I want to do that. That guy, that was
That's
magic.
sick.
That was so sick. Because nothing existed then. It was just comedy. So I thought that was quite cool. Yeah.
How long have you been doing comedy for?
Like 6-7 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You've got a good amount of time under your belt. Then that's it. If you I always think this because I always like to, whenever we get a comedian on the podcast, I always ask the same question because I like to think about it for myself. Have you got not necessarily an end goal, but somewhere where you see yourself and somewhere where you want to get to? Have you got like a benchmark in your head?
You know what? It's changed, man. I was just chatting to you earlier about like an employed comedian or an entrepreneur. Like I just want to, I'd rather instead of like, what do I want? Like a stage, like Apollo or something like that.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to build a following, whatever the size that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I can do a show if it's a 30-seater or whatever, and I can just be myself and connect with the audience. Like that's the goal.
I think that's the best way to do
whatever
it.
that looks like, man. You don't have any control outside of that. Do you know what I mean?
You've got absolutely not at all whatsoever. See, I think that's like personally anyway. I mean, there's some people who, like we said, walking up. There's some people who like to work underneath promoters and they like to wear, like, which is fair enough. But big personally, I agree with you. I'd rather do it. And I mean, the same with anything, the same with like DJing or whatever it might be. Rather than working under a label, under a promoter, I'd rather build my own following.
Yes.
So what the fuck was that?
That place, that
do you want me to fix it?
No, it's alright. I just jumped. I shit myself. But yeah, I'd rather build my own following, my own way, and then that way, if you put a show on in this city or that city or up there,
you control it 100%
whatever
of it.
it is. Man, I think that's similar to DJing. I got a friend who's a DJ, and I was doing one of my first festival hours, and he asked me like, "What's your goal? Like, do you want to make them laugh?" And I was just like, "I want to connect with the audience." I know that sounds kind of weird, but that was it. It was like, I want to speak like truth through comedy and connect with the people. And he was like, "Man, that's exactly what I do when I'm a DJ. I try to connect with the audience."
No, 100%. You got to read the room.
Is it one of them where you'd rather have 50 people that love and connect with than 1,000 people where some of them are just there because it's a comedy night out?
I mean, 50 and 1,000.
No, but you know what?
Now you're throwing money into it.
Would you rather earn 10 quid or you can get 1,000 pounds doing
kill the 50 people.
No, I got you. Yeah. So
maybe not that low, but
no. It's actually like I'd rather do 50. Hey man, if you said to me you can go be part of a show that's got 1,000 audience member, or you can sell your like own show to 30 people. Like where I'm at, I'd rather do the 30 people.
Because you know those days.
I'm going to be myself more. I'm going to have more time, and we're going to actually connect. You know what I mean? And I find those shows are so cool. They're amazing. When someone comes to watch you as well, then you've connected. You know what I mean? Like there's how many billions of people on this planet? Dude?
Exactly.
It's like only a small portion need to find you funny. That's
it.
And a million or whatever it is. Yeah.
I like that because it's like I've had it a few times myself when like it's like, you know, when you've written a joke and then like someone who's like a fan or who's seen your live from it will come over and like I forget which. I went to see a band called Oceanally, an Australian band. I went.
I love the way we're in Australia now. This is so cool. Yes,
I went to see them in the O2. In the O2 behind Lime Street Station, and I went to see them.
Just behind the station. Yeah.
I went to see them because they were touring the US and the UK, and I listened to them, and no one have ever really said, "Oh, do you know these?" Going, yeah, and they were in Liverpool, and I thought, "Fuck it, go on, let's go." So we get there, and then one of the staff who was working at the venue come over and like said the punchline to one of my jokes of me. It was like, it was one of the best feats. I was sat in my room on my own, stoned in my undies, writing that thing, thinking this is going to be sick. And then someone came over and said the point, and I was like, that's sick.
Yeah.
It's sick to be able to just make those little connections with random people. It's
absolutely.
Cool, man.
Let me ask you a question, right? Because you're doing comedy now and you do shows, but there's people that come, they've seen you do comedy and then the podcast.
Yeah.
Is that like a different expectation, or do you know what I mean? Like someone who's seen you for comedy or podcast.
That's a really good question.
I think I've never. I mean, I can't say it'll never happen, but so far it's never happened because like I try to sort of
disconnect it.
Not disconnected. I mean, the two separate entities. Like the podcast
you don't
and my
can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, like, I hate but like. People like I'm when I'm on stage, whether I'm MCing or doing material, I'm not putting like an act on.
It's you.
I'm still the same on stage as I am in here chatting shit. So when people who watch the podcast come to see me do comedy, they're still seeing the same person. It might just be a little bit. If I'm MCing,
still
the exact same shit.
Yeah.
But if it's written material, even though it's more scripted, I'm not putting an act onto it. It's still just my personality. So I'd like to think there's no expectation of anything other than just Danny.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know. I haven't asked them. I'll have to now though.
It'll be cool what they say. Like, you weren't what they're expecting, or you're exactly like. I find that interesting.
Yeah. Well,
what would you rather though? Like, would you rather someone say, "Oh, like I'm happy with what you," or you'd rather say, "I'm not. You're not what I expected."
Answer, but I think I know what you're gonna say. Like, I would say
it depends whether they were happy or not. If they come
but I'd
over,
say I hope they come to me and say, "Oh, like expected, like that's you, the person."
Yeah,
it's not like I was like, "Who's this?"
No, obviously not on a bad day, but that's what I mean. Like, would you rather someone say one or the other? You know what I mean?
I tell you why I asked that question is like, you say, how do you know if you've been yourself on stage?
Yeah,
I don't know. Like everyone asked that question, I had no idea how to answer it, and I was like, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to get my sisters my sister, my brother, my mom, the people who know me. And they're gonna. I told them, don't come watch me for a while, and then come watch me, and then tell me if that's the same person.
Okay.
And if it's not, then I'm not doing stuff right. Do you know what I mean?
I think
that's one way to do it.
I think that the hardest thing. I mean, I've only been doing comedy for like 2 years, but like the hardest thing for me, and it took me so long to be able to do it, was to just be myself on stage. Because for a while, because you not that you're not confident. If you're stepping on stage and doing comedy, you're stepping on stage and doing anything, you've got to at least have a certain level of confidence. But
or delusion.
But
I got this.
I'm good at something here.
Like some guy thinks he's an actor. You know what I mean?
Not thinks. I was pushed into a corner.
Here's a question then. How do you feel on people who aren't their authentic self then? The people who are on stage putting on an act, what do you feel on that?
Depends.
There's a difference, right? Like if you're doing, what do you mean by an act? Because if you're a character on stage, that can still be true. Like you can play a character we all know.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're trying to act, you how do I explain it? Like if you're putting on, you're insecure or something, so you're being a different version of yourself.
Yes.
That you can pick that up.
Yeah.
When people say shit they don't really mean, or like they're just saying a joke to be funny. That's not being authentic.
Can you tell? Like, have you always done the same? Like, can you tell a difference in your comedy from now to when you started?
Yeah,
it's weird.
Like, I can't with you. When he first started, it was the most outrageous.
I just used to say the darkest, most offensive thing.
Trying to be the most.
Because I was nervous. I was trying to hide behind it. But if I can make them go, oh, maybe they won't see that. But that all comes back to just not being able to like be myself on stage. And I used to come off stage, and even if a gig had went really well, I'd be angry because not angry, but like I'd have like a tension because like I'd come off stage, and even if the set had went fucking brilliantly, I'd be like, I wasn't being me. And when I'm
so even the praise you do get is false.
The praise, the praising a mask you put on.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you didn't see me.
They're not praising you.
Yes. Which makes it even worse.
Because then it's like you feel like a dickhead then because you're getting angry at praise. But
I got you.
So
I watched answer that question. I watched a video recently of myself. I've been maybe doing comedy 3 months, and like I've got a South African accent, which when I started was proper hardcore,
stronger than what it is now.
Like I'm gonna fucking, you know what I mean? Like and I was watching the video, man. My defense was to speak really fast. And at some point I was like, why would anyone watch it? It looked like I wanted to attack people in the stage. Honestly, I was like, it was so nerve-wracking. I did not enjoy watching that. Because I was like, who fucking told me to carry on?
You can't dislike the material and know what I'm saying.
People were just too scared not to book me again. They're like, hey, well.
But it's like I think the hardest, like one of the hardest things I've experienced anyway doing comedy is just being able to just go on stage and like just like relax and be yourself. Because it's like the way I used to look at it is
you can notice when a comedian's got that tension behind it. You can notice
now
it.
Lately, I've seen that difference as well. From when I first did a show with you, I can't remember where.
It was 18 months ago.
Far more comfortable, far more natural, far more you.
Well,
it's really nice
the way
to
I
see,
used
man.
to think about, well, I appreciate that, thank you. Because the way I used to look at it was, if I go on stage and I just try and be like offensive and I not put an act on, but I'm not being me, and if people don't like that, that's then not a rejection of me, it's a rejection of the material. If I go on stage and I'm just being myself and people are looking going, well, it's like, it's not the material, he didn't like it, he didn't like it.
Pure philosophy, that lad, I like that.
That's why,
philosophy,
he's not just beautiful blonde locks. You know what I mean?
Don't go that far.
So how long have you been in the UK for? Have you done more time in South Africa than you have here, or is it being more here than you have home?
When are you going back?
Yeah, I love this.
Well,
immigration officers. How long have you been here? When are you going back?
Have you got your passport?
How much time? No, what I did, funny enough, I did comedy for like 6 months. And then I was like, what am I doing with my life? So I went and lived in Asia for a while.
Okay,
so
just
I did
as
that.
you do.
Yeah, exactly. So I've only been here, comedy July 2021.
That's when you
So just over 2 years, like 2 years and 4 months. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you spent obviously most of your life you spent.
So even when I say I've been doing comedy 6-7 years, like 6 months in South Africa, and then I was just in Asia for a while, and then England.
Where about in Asia did you go?
Lived in Thailand for a bit, but I went to middle of nowhere, so I didn't really do comedy for a bit.
Do you know that sort of, obviously living in Asia, was it hard to get your comedy across, or was there a lot of
Yeah.
English people in Asia?
No, there's a lot of expats. So you mostly do comedy for expats anyway.
Yeah.
But I remember the first gig I did, man. Remember I said I spoke fast. So I did my little set, and then the host came back. No one laughed, man. It was terrible. And the host came back on. He was an English guy. And he went, I don't know what that was, but that was just super fast. And then everyone laughed at me for that. And so that was my first gig. It was so shit, dude. It was so shit. I remember just going like, wow, everyone laughing at how shit I am. That's basically the only laugh I got.
Somewhere on my phone.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on, baby. Yeah.
There it is. Somewhere on my phone, I've still got the video of the first ever gig I did, and it was Beat the Frog, and I managed to do the 5 minutes, but you know when I watch it now, like I'm stood so like stiff, and like
cringe.
I'm not moving my arms, I'm like moving them as entire. It's horrible, like it's horrible.
No,
Horrible.
but I think that's cool. Keep that, because one day it's going to be like memorabilia or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
for you.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like
That's true.
It's
That's
very
true.
cool, man. Don't
So,
lose that.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, because you done Danny Davis and Friends, the one just gone.
Yeah.
By the way, next one's November 7th. Hot Water Comedy Club tickets on sale now.
I was
That
waiting
was
for
such a
that.
sick night.
Link,
The way you were just
link,
saying it.
link in the description.
That was fun. Man.
Mate,
It's such fun.
The, fucking,
Yeah.
the shows are so fun, because
Yeah.
whether it's a crowd of like 80 or it's sold out at
Yes.
220,
Yeah.
it's always a fun
No, you've
crowd.
got a nice crowd, man.
Yeah, it's
I'll
good.
say that. I wouldn't say
It's
that.
good.
Yeah.
But like you told a story about when you were still back in South Africa, and
Yeah.
somebody held you at gunpoint,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, in traffic
Yes.
for your phone. Is
Yeah.
that a true story?
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
Man. Everything's true.
Because I know South
Is it
Africa.
that bad? Like,
Dude, I don't know if it's
not-
that bad.
not
It's just
that,
like
but-
you just get unlucky.
but you do hear proper
The stories
proper mad
about South
stories
Africa,
about
yeah,
South
yeah.
Africa.
Yeah,
Like,
there's some bad stories,
like-
man.
Yeah.
I can't
I-
say there's not, but I can't tell you how bad it is really.
Yeah.
Because like I don't sit and do the stats, but I can say
Well,
When
I've
I'm
never
in-
been held up in my
Yeah.
car at gunpoint trying to
Yeah.
rob my car, so obviously,
that's
and you have,
one,
so...
one to South Africa. You know what I mean? You're winning, baby.
So what I find mad about it though, the fact that they went, I've got a gun to your head. You're sitting in a car, gives your phone, not give me the car. Let me have your phone, but not,
Yeah, but
not
that's
get out
smart,
the
because I'm
car.
in traffic. What am I going to do? Sit and be like, oh, fuck.
No,
We didn't think this one through.
Get in the car and just sit there.
no, but
Radio station soon, they don't have
but you know
The
what I
cops come
mean?
past and they're just like, don't look.
They got you in the back.
Yeah. It's,
Adjusting your meters and everything.
have you done your seatbelt back in?
You just added a better part to this joke, bro. That's
I
cool,
did,
yeah. Yeah.
But
No, that
fucking-
was true, man. And the thing so the whole story was I got robbed. And then everyone blamed me because my window was open. Like everyone. They were like, why is your window open? And I was like, oh yeah, like that hit me, dude. I was like, it was my fault. Why would I have my
proper
window open?
victim blaming.
And then, yeah,
What were you
yeah.
wearing?
Yeah, what were you wearing? A little slutty window. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just all the way open.
It's your fault you had a good
exactly, Yeah.
phone. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you do with a phone, man? You know what I mean?
That's so
If
crazy.
you've never been born, Dustin,
Dude,
you
that
would-
was my mom. I phoned her when I got home because I was all like
With what phone?
shaking up. Yeah, but exactly. My
phone,
roommate.
back phone,
He's so sharp, this guy. See how he goes. He's like, I'm with
he's
you.
like-
Where did you phone him from?
Oh yeah, me finger and me thumb. Just, yeah, hello.
No, my roommate's phone. And then I said, Mom, I got robbed in traffic. And literally, she was like, why was your window open? My own mother.
That's so
You know what I mean?
crazy.
And I was like, yeah,
As
okay.
if like South
So
Africa's
mad
not
though,
hot
yeah.
enough.
Yeah, but I mean, you just got to be careful. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like if I drive in Johannesburg, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm ready now. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Windows up.
Yes. And then how funny is that story? Did you hear the part with my mom?
Yeah.
When
When
she
she
said
got
about why was your
hijacked.
window
So
open?
she phoned me Feb of last year. And she's just like, I've just been hijacked. This is true, right? So
Yeah.
she was at a stop street.
fuck
Yeah,
off.
but it wasn't like a busy stop street. You know, like just a four-way cross intersection.
yeah.
So she'd gone there and the guy had put a gun to her window. And I joke, obviously it was his first day because she wasn't in traffic. So she just drove off. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, okay,
like a
yeah,
rookie
yeah.
move from his side. and then she freaked out, man. She just gave him what she was like, here's my phone. And she just drove off. That's probably the best thing. Like, give him what he wants to
Yeah,
drive
yeah,
off.
yeah.
And then she got like 100 meters away when she was out of way. And she looked and she still had a phone. Like legit. She was like, what's going on? And she'd given him a samosa, dude. Like true. It gets even worse, man. It was a vegetarian half-eaten samosa. Like that's just like a big. I'm telling you, man. I still feel sorry for that guy. 'Cause I'm like, I'm sure they call him like Samosa Joe. You know what I mean? On the streets, he's navigating to traffic. It's never happening. Like, it's not happening.
That's so funny.
You like that? Fuck, it's
that's so
corn.
funny.
I've got a corn pasty. Half-eaten corn
Go to
pasty.
the toilet next day. It's just a gentle reminder.
Yeah. Oh, if you were his mate, you would rinse him for the rest of your life. He is. I went out for a phone. Got a samosa.
Come back with lunch.
I like the way you sit there and said before about you don't do the stats between like South Africa and here or whatever. But like I don't think I've ever got on the car here and thought, oh my god, there's a chance here that I could get a gun put to my window.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
I didn't
even
realise
something
it
you
was
think
that- yeah,
about.
never
You know
did
what?
think about it.
I'll tell you what happens is I hear from people and they go, "Wow, I heard this," and I'm like, sometimes South Africans, like, it's not it's bad, right? The crime, but it's not the story. It's not like Gotham City. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not, but it's just like.
Is it just run of the mill every day? Just like it just happened and you go, oh, it just happened. Or is
Dude,
it
it
like
can
so
happen,
normal,
like-
it's spoken
like,
about normal.
It's also,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, when I say we victim blame, it's also like you can do stuff to avoid it as well. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And also there's a rule, like if someone has a gun, just do what they say, dude.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
your phone isn't worth anything.
No,
Yeah,
don't wait
yeah.
for
But
life.
like my cousin, for example, he lives in quite an affluent area. And then like maybe a few kilometers down the road is a really poor shanty town.
Yeah.
And he drove around with literally a Rolex watch.
Yeah.
So they followed him and they shot him in the arm. And I'm like, yeah, but what are you doing, dude?
No,
Like,
no,
and I'm
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
excusing that, but it's like you've got that wallet, that watch is worth like maybe if the guy worked 3 years and he never spent a cent, he might be able to buy
Afford
half
it.
of that
Yeah,
watch.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
too much wealth to.
It's not victim blaming, but it's like why you
Don't
put
be
yourself in that
stupid.
position. It's
even I
just
said to him, I'm
stupidity.
like, why would you even forget being robbed? Why would you show that off?
Yeah,
That's like
exactly, yeah.
Mad Max shit. Do you
Yeah,
know what I
that
mean?
makes sense,
It's
that
like you
makes
don't have
sense.
water. Look at me, and I'm just drowning myself in a bag. Maybe someone's gonna
I'm
shoot
having
you.
a
You know what I
shower.
mean?
Yeah.
Like that's gonna happen. So
That makes sense to be
Yeah.
fair.
yeah, even the guys who stole my phone, man, I wasn't upset because I'm sure they need it. Like I get the economics, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just you don't have to punch me while you know what I mean? We
Yeah,
don't have to be
yeah,
dickheads
yeah, I'll
about
give you
it.
the phone anyway.
Yeah,
Just
just
ask
like
nicely,
make
I'll
it.
give
Yeah,
you
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did it go further than the gun? Did they physically assault you to get the
Yeah,
phone?
that's what pissed me off, man. Like seriously,
I can take the gun, but no punching.
you're just on your phone, right? So I'm sitting on my phone. The next thing what they did, they try to grab the phone. So then I just pulled it. You know,
Yeah,
which you
yeah.
would do anyway.
Oh, yeah, natural.
And
yeah.
then they were like, okay. And then just to show me they just start both, like there was two of them and they just started punching me.
Yeah.
So I gave them the phone and they're like, where's your wallet? So I gave them my wallet and I thought they were going to steal my wallet. They just took the cash and then threw it back in. But they must have been so nervous as well, dude, because the way they threw the wallet, like spun all over the car.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
card
yeah.
flew out and I was like, oh my, like they nervous as well.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
you just got to be calm, dude.
You're just chill out. It's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
It's your
yeah.
first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just take it.
Yeah, it's okay. Smoke shit. Have some sweet. Have some sweet. You can't go wrong
Here's
with
a pack of
that.
6 with love from my mom.
You
You've got a
should.
little paper bag with the names written
Yeah,
on it.
there you go. There's a little
Put a fruit
thing.
wine in it.
There's a little thing if you're driving around South
Kinder
Africa.
Joy.
If you're driving around South
Little
Africa
note.
now, have a pack of samosas on your seat, on your passenger seat. Just
That'd be
yeah,
like that,
lad.
lad.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lad. I MC'd the open mic at Hot Water on Monday. I was MC'ing and there was a group of lads. There was a group of 4 of them. They'd driven down from Glasgow. 3 of them were Glaswegian and one of them was from South Africa. I can't remember where he said it because I was speaking to him and he showed me something and I thought straight away when because that was what made me think, oh, we'll get Dustin in for Thursday,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
he
yeah.
showed me this tattoo on his ankle and I think it was his granddad or his dad. I can't remember exactly what he said. It was his lucky number, so he got the number 23 tattooed on his ankle as a South African. Then he phoned his mum and was telling his mum, and she was like, well, you can't come back to South Africa, you know, because of the number gangs and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. She was like,
Oh, is that a thing?
yeah, it is. Have I
I
got
think
that
it's
wrong?
the 28th. Yeah, check. Can anyone? Are you like the Joe Rogan guy?
Go on, check Joe Rogan.
What's his name?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jamie.
Pull that up,
Jamie.
Joe. Pull it
Yeah,
up. Pull it up, Jamie. Pull it up,
I
Jamie.
think it's the 28th gang. Yeah, man, dude, like, this is where I don't know what's true or not, right? Because you live in fear of gangs. But,
Yeah.
like, there's gang, like, for a while, I don't know if it's true or not, but this is, like, there was a gang that apparently their initiation was...
Yeah.
Check if... Yeah?
The Numbers Gang is a crime organisation that started as a prison gang
Yeah.
with one of the most fearsome reputations in South Africa. The gang is divided into groups or camps named the 26s, the 27s and the 28s,
Yeah.
or the other non-gang members called the Frans. partially meaning no number.
Oh shit.
So how
They mad
would
though,
you get
dude,
how
like,
would you get flipped on for the number 23?
I don't know. It might
Yeah, I
it
think-
might not. It could have been one of the. It could have been one of
Yeah,
the
different
20
number, yeah,
something. But
Yeah, if he did that, that would be a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, those gangs are hardcore.
Each-
They,
it
yeah.
says each gang number's responsible for doing different things. So the 26ers, their duty is to accumulate wealth for all the numbers.
oh shit, the little
And
Joeys.
the 28s are the bloodline of the gang responsible for fighting.
Oh,
Oh, so they're all the
And then
same
Frodo
gang?
keeps the rings for all the gangs.
He's like,
How are
no,
they
he's your
so-
mate, number
Yeah.
23.
That sounds like this
He's
is a
the
cool
ring.
gang, this. Yeah.
The 28s, a decision was taken to stop bloodiness. So no stabbings, but everything else you can do.
Yeah.
You're allowed to stab.
Yeah.
that's
yeah.
crazy. What
They're
was
so
it about the
nice.
initiation?
Oh no! So there was Google if this is true. You see, this is why I don't. But it was like I drove around for this. I believe this was true for a few years. So there was a gang apparently that the initiation was they drive around without their headlights, and the first car
Flash
to
them.
flash. Is that yeah?
I heard that, yeah.
the what?
So if it's you know if you're driving and it's dark and you see a car coming past you and they've got no lights on, you're gonna flash them, aren't you?
Yeah,
like
to
turn your lights on.
yeah.
So that I've
Yeah,
heard,
I've got
that.
a car.
And if you were to flash them, they were in their car with someone in there who was getting initiated into the gang. So
Yeah.
if you were to flash them, they would then turn around and that person getting initiated into the gang had to kill you in the car.
Do you want to know what the initiation is for the 28s?
Go on.
Oh,
Count
God.
to it.
Any person who wants to join the 28s has to have sex with their teacher.
That is a fucking great initiation.
Legend.
I'm well for
I'm
that.
in this
Legend.
I
gang.
want to be part of the 28.
I'll be part of the
But what if
With
you
their
like? What if you're
teacher.
trying to join them when you're like
Yeah,
20?
but I
odd
don't
and
think
you're
this
not
is
gonna-
like, hey, take her for a date and make consensual love. I don't
Yeah,
think
I
that's,
don't- I don't
I don't
think-
think that's what's
So
happening.
you'd have to play the long game, do you?
Oh yeah,
Go on.
yeah.
Modern day members are now expected to both kill upon order of their general as well as to have sex with the teacher.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's
So it's
mad.
the
So
same
you're gonna
sort of
fuck
thing.
them and kill them essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. One of the gangs recently, I think this in the gangs. There's a guy. He's badass, man. He was shot, I think, at 3 times and he survived. He's like a badass guy.
Shit.
But I think it was his lawyer or something dropped his daughter off at school, like a nice school, just in the morning, and they just shot him through the window, dude. Like in
Really?
front of. Imagine seeing that going
Yeah,
to school.
no, yeah,
dude.
yeah,
No,
fucked
they're
up.
mad, dude. They
That's
they're
fucking
next
crazy.
level dangerous. Okay, do you know what I mean? So you grow up. That's scary.
That's like, yeah.
Is
yeah.
that
Yeah.
is the certain cities? So obviously you've got like Cape Town, Johannesburg, like they're like the big cities. Is there others? Are they worse than other cities, or is other cities
Same
worse
as
than
you
them?
get here.
You're
like
from
the
Johannesburg,
distribution.
aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's Johannesburg's probably the worst. Then Cape Town, probably wherever the money is, man.
Yeah.
Isn't I could have gotten this mistaken for somewhere else, but isn't it Cape Town? One half of Cape Town's lovely. It's like a full like functioning city, and the other half of Cape Town's like shanties.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
Yeah,
That's
that's
fucking
South
crazy.
Africa, man.
Is,
That's
is,
crazy.
is most of like the rich part, or so to say rich, is it gated communities, and then you'd have to come out to then go into
Mad. Yeah, that's such a cool question. Here's something I realized, right? Like what we did in Johannesburg is when I was a kid in Port Elizabeth, I grew up in a small town. So we lived like almost like here. No one really had walls and it was
Yeah,
open
yeah.
and stuff. And then Johannesburg, it's like high walls, private security, barbed wires.
Really?
And it was so interesting, man. Like here, you guys are relatively safe. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
one thing
Generally
that blew my
speaking,
mind
yeah.
was I remember seeing schoolgirls just walking to school unaccompanied by
Yeah.
adults. And I was like, that is
That's
mad. dude.
mad.
That is mad that you can do that. And I spoke to my cousin who's moved from Cape Town to London. He was like, I can't let her walk. His daughter, she's 16.
Shit.
Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? But like, you're safe here by trusting each other. But if someone had said to me in Johannesburg, what's more safe look like, I would have just been like bigger walls, more electricity, better guards. Like the concept of safety is different even. Do you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
don't get me,
that's crazy.
don't get me
yeah,
wrong.
it
When
just
you,
doesn't make sense.
No,
like,
it does.
yeah,
Because if I
it's
was
mad,
to go into a place over here, which is a lot more poorer than obviously where you're living, I'm still not expected that type of violence in a sense. You know what I mean?
do you know
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
when
you-
you mentioned before about the what was it, the guns and stuff like that? So
Yeah.
like obviously over here, like I'm assuming that your gun laws are similar to America's. You can just carry a gun. Is that right?
No,
Or
no,
could-
you've
is,
got to do a license and everything. Yeah.
But you can still carry a gun, though, like-
effectively carry a gun, like it's legal to carry a gun
But
on
how's
some
this
level.
for stats? So after I got hijacked, I went to a counselor who dealt with like
Like post-traumatic therapy stuff.
specifically
Yeah.
Did they fuck you
gun
up that?
crime.
Did they fuck you up that much? Did they?
You just go, man. My work paid for it. But I
Oh,
mean, it's
okay,
worth
okay.
going, dude.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that
Couple of
shit
days off.
like messes with you.
Yeah.
But he was saying that the best way to survive like a gun robbery is to, because I was thinking I'm going to get a gun. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that goes through your head, all this shit,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
I'm like Rambo, I'm going to get an AK,
Yeah.
like, I'm going to press a
is
button and the guy's going to blow up in my
Putting
car
paint up
next.
there.
Yeah.
It is almost like a fight fire with fire thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But he said that statistically, you increase your chances of getting shot if you have a gun.
You got it.
Like, that's, you
You're
know what I
gonna
mean? I
pull
was
it
like,
out,
yeah, it
aren't
makes
you?
sense,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're gonna pull it out,
Because I
aren't you?
drove around with a friend once, and I mean, he has a gun in the car, and I felt less safe. Because I was like, no, dude, if they come up, just give them whatever they want. I don't
Yeah.
want to start shooting.
Yeah.
Like, are you how good a marksman are you?
I think
yeah, exactly.
I think-
The criminals are like, oh, we get a phone and a gun. You know what I mean? That's,
I think it's one of them though as well. Like by the time they've got to the car and went, "Gives your phone," you're not gonna go, "Oh bang," do like a fucking Mexican standoff. Like a Mexican standoff, and you're going.
I like the way you did that. The mask. Look what I
music.
got. And you had some Uzi gun. Boom, 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 boom.
You got an RPG in the trunk, just pull that out.
Dustin's in the back of the car, whipping up a masala, going, "They're gonna love this. Just give them your wallet." Nah,
It's so
that's-
crazy.
Got
it's
got
fucking
Jimmy
And it's
fingers.
mad how fortunate we are that we don't have to like.
Worry about that.
We don't have to worry about that. But obviously, in terms of like being in South
Yes.
Africa, it's a thing
Mate,
where it's like.
there's a picture that's like just if you do Google Earth, I can show it to you. But like, you got Santon, which is an area where I got hijacked, that you get robbed. It's the richest square mile in Africa, so it's got the most millionaires in the whole of Africa, right?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
And
In this
then there's-
1 mile.
Well, no, just it's the richest square mile. So if you go a
Shit.
mile, any mile in Africa, that's the wealthiest mile.
Oh,
It's like
fuck.
where all the it's loads of money, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got a motorway, and then the other side you've just got one of the most violent places.
Like,
And
like favelas in Brazil,
yeah, it's
sort
like
of.
it's mad. Like that picture, you understand. Do you know what I mean?
I'm gonna try and find the picture.
Yeah, right, I can do it for you.
Please do. 'Cause I
So
couldn't
what
make sense.
made you move? So I know you said you moved to Asia for a few years.
Yes.
What was the move for? Was it just I'm bored of here and want to go, or was it just
No, man. I started with my mom when I got to about 18. She lost her job, so I studied and worked at the same time.
Yeah.
So I never like just had fun. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah,
studying
okay,
and
yeah.
working was killing me, man. So I just did that for like 10 years.
So
I was
Asia-
like just on this treadmill of like I want to
Live
you
your
know,
life.
yeah. And then 10 years later, I did comedy, and then 6 months of doing comedy, I was just like, there's got to be more to life than just going to work, having a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'd never been free.
Yeah,
If that
okay.
makes sense.
No,
If I,
no, that makes sense.
if I
No, that
wasn't
makes
an
sense,
actor,
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
do something like that.
I started looking on Skyscanner.
Get me on Indeed.
If it wasn't for me getting a role in the MCU, what the hell am I gonna do with you?
So what was Asia like? Was Asia
I'm
gonna?
trying to do both these things for
No,
you.
do you know what? Sorry. Do
No,
you
no.
think?
Yeah,
do
we
you
need
think?
to see. We need to see this picture.
Yeah,
to
do
be
you think- do you
honest.
How do I do this? I just need to change the map to satellite and then wait, and you'll see it. There we go.
So
yeah,
when you-
so yeah.
This
So
is-
when it's the
this is gonna
millionaires
be
in the
proper
square
me.
mile, do you know that it's wealthy when you're walking around?
Oh
Does
yeah,
it
yeah,
feel
dude.
it?
Like it's proper, like private banking. All the financial markets are there.
Yeah.
Like Lamborghinis,
this
Ferraris.
like-
Like
is
it's
this
well.
like-
Here it is. So there's the richest spot there, right? So you look here, like there's the Hilton Hotel,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Maslow. Like I got hijacked. Where did I get hijacked? Just here. There.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then there's the motorway. And then look at that there, dude.
Fuck.
That's right there.
And it's
That's
literally just
there.
one motorway
Yeah, yeah.
separating all of that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that's badass, man. I had a friend who was there. He took a wrong turn at night, right? And he was at the traffic light and he'd stopped. There was a group of guys and they just like walked to the car casually, smashed the window and just took the shit out. Like it was just
no
it
fucking
was like,
about.
don't mess around, man.
I think as you said before, though, in that situation, it's best to just let it happen because if you
Absolutely,
start,
man.
Yeah.
like, like generally speaking, they've come over to rob you, but I doubt they're going over, going, all right, we're gonna rob and kill him.
Yeah.
No,
and they're nervous, man. Think of like, okay, the four of us. I'm like, guys, I've got guns. Let's go rob a bank. You're not gonna be chilled.
No.
Yeah,
You're wired.
that's true.
You're
Yeah,
wired.
that's
You're
true.
wired. So they scared as well, which people don't realize. Like when those guys threw my wallet like that, the guy was like shaking. That's why it went to.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, he's wired, man.
It's mad because if someone was to rob me in that sense, phone, wallet or whatever, I'd just go, do you know what, lad, yeah, because I can always get them back. But I think the only time I'd ever fight for something, if like, do you know, if it was like one of them like sex trafficking things, and it was like they were trying to rob your bed or
I
something.
was gonna say, I doubt anyone's robbing
No,
you
no,
for
no.
sex trafficking.
yeah. Hey, what are you
Look at the ass on him, get that.
I'm trying to say I'm ugly, lad. Because I've had loads of people trying to rob me for sex trafficking, actually.
Someone said to me, you'd love to sex traffic me.
Hey, look at the arm on him. He's special.
If that ever happens, there must be a mistake here, guys. You know what I mean? You're right. Phone my friend Danny. He'll tell you.
I don't even suck dick, man. I'm not even good at it.
But that would be the only way I'd ever like sort of fight back if it was sort of like either a life or death situation or it was like a
fair.
I mean,
trafficking
you
thing.
think that, right? But here's a friend of mine that I played rugby with. Okay, so he's not like club rugby, and he was in Cape Town Beach or something, like walking with his fiance, dude. Like they just gotten engaged, and some guy came to rob them. And he just smoked her. He just left.
I wouldn't do that. Like, nah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's fair. He couldn't help it.
Have you seen it? Nah.
Have you seen a video?
Run!
Yeah. Have you seen a video with that fella? Have you seen a video with that fella?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
I know he's going on about.
Have you seen a video with that fella and he's
on
with
the
his
bike
beard and he robs his beard
and the
runs. Lad gets off and the lad turns around and goes, "Yeah, I'll have your stuff."
Is that what he gives it a handbag?
He gives it a bag back because a fella's bailed.
They're both on a moped.
Honest to God.
And the fellas come over, and the guy on the moped, his girlfriend's on the back, the guy's got up and ran, and the fella robbing his girlfriend, seen him run and went, I just gave it a bag back.
Listen, I'm sorry, you can't say...
That's like a terrible...
That's
You know those
so
movies
bad.
where they get like a charming guy to test if the person's loyal? Let's do that, dude. Fake toy gun, we checked
But
out.
you know what, though?
Sorry.
Honestly, if I was to get robbed on my own and it was like, give me your stuff and that, I don't know how I'd react. I'd love to be like, oh, I'd say no and that, but
Never.
No,
I
I
would.
shit myself.
It'd be different.
Yeah.
But I know, hands down, if I was with my bed and they tried to do something to my bed and that, I wouldn't stand for it, you know.
That's fair.
I know I wouldn't.
That's fair enough.
I know
I
I'd
know
myself, I
that
wouldn't.
'cause
I'd take a
I've
bullet before I'd done that.
Yeah,
I know I
I
wouldn't.
know that with him as well. 'cause
I know
I've
I
seen
wouldn't,
him go fucking
really,
nuts.
honestly. But if it was to do with myself,
If it's
I'd be a
material
lot.
possession,
I'd be
give it
like,
up.
oh, it is what it is.
Yeah,
But
okay, you
in
can sex
terms of a life
traffic
and
me.
that, nah, I don't think
Do you
I would.
reckon would you ever be in a situation where you'd try and get robbed without them knowing what you've got on you? As in, like, would someone
What did
walk
you
up, like,
just
do the way
say?
you said? Do the way you said, oh, I was on my phone. Would someone just walk up to a car and go, "Gives your phone"? If your phone's in your pocket, would they just
of
walk
course,
up and
yeah.
say it
But
to
you
a random?
automatically assume that you've got a phone and
Yeah.
you've
No,
got
no, but
car
what
yeah.
I'm saying is, would you be able to turn around and go, "I haven't got my phone on me"?
Hey, I'll tell you
That's
what, this
stupid.
happened maybe like 8 months after that. And this is why I say I think I was just relatively unlucky, but I was sitting in traffic again, and the guy next to me had someone rob him. And the guy was such a pro, the thief. He just gently leaned in the window, said some stuff, right? Had the gun like visible, and the guy just gave him stuff and he walked away.
That's
Like,
all it needs to
yeah,
be, though,
that was
really,
all.
doesn't it? It doesn't need to be
Yeah.
aggressive. It's like,
Yeah,
listen,
yeah.
you know what I can do with
It's
this.
like that fella. There's a fella that was on a podcast talking about how he used to rob banks, and he'd walk into a bank and he'd go, and he'd just open his jacket and go, "Do us a favour, put money in that bag, or it'll escalate." And then
That's an act.
and he
I
put
was
in
about to give him my phone.
he used to
Take a samosa.
Is
No,
this
he
a
used-
bank? Fuck me.
You're having a PTSD flashback here, aren't you?
he said he just walk into a bank
But what were you even doing in the bank in the first place?
with a biker's helmet on. Yeah, he just used to walk in with a biker's helmet in his hand. So that they thought he was on a bike. So if they did ring the police, they'd go, "Well, he had a biker helmet on," so they thought he was on a bike.
Yeah.
He'd walk in with like a ski mask on, gun, and just go, "Look, put that money in that bag,
Yes.
and I'm getting off. End of. Don't ring the police until I'm gone. You can ring the police if you want, but." Because he had the biker helmet, they'd think, "Oh, he's on a bike," and then he'd just go outside and get in the car and get off.
Here's a question for you, Dustin. Are you in a rush to go back?
What do you mean?
Because I know a lot of people, like, obviously you're...
Yeah, yeah.
I know
Like,
you're
coming
saying...
over
I know
here,
you're
taking
saying,
all of our jobs.
Yeah,
Taking all that
basically,
comedy
man. That's
gigs,
what I wanna
especially.
do. I'm starting Dusty Davies on Tuesday night.
Dusty Davies and friends, yeah.
Happening, baby. It's happening.
But do you know the way there's a lot of people who like come over to the UK or go over to wherever they come from and go over to a different place.
yeah.
They always go like, "Oh, I can't wait to get back," or "I can't wait to go and live your life back there." Are you in a rush to go back, or is
I
it
go back
not
all
even?
the time, and I was just back
Oh,
a
do
month
you?
ago. I love South Africa. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't want to be like, South Africa is beautiful. Like, go visit.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
really
yeah.
mean that, because you'll be fine. You know, if you're tourist, you're not going to go to that spot.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful. So I go back often. Yeah, I go every year, and then some. Now I'm starting to do more comedy, and I shot a pilot for a comedy show there recently.
Oh,
That's
really?
sick.
So that was cool.
I was
Yeah,
going to say
You
that. Would
did-
you, if you go back, like, do you have an audience there? Like, do you have
No,
people
not
that...
so much. But I got a few people. Does it make
Yeah.
sense? Not a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
But I did a show like when I went back, which was
Yeah.
my own show.
You
And
did
that
work for Comedy
Yeah.
Central out there as well, didn't you?
was, not Comedy Central, MTV.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
Did you?
okay.
Yeah, fuck
How
hell.
did that
Yeah.
come about?
That was good, man. I just know. Did you meet Vui? He came up. No,
Oh, no,
he
I
came
didn't.
and performed at Hot Water. Anyway, he's like, he produces shows for them.
Yeah.
So I managed to get on a show called. What's the one Andrew Schultz got famous for, man?
Saturday
I can't
Night
think
Live?
of it. No, man.
No.
Guy Code.
Yeah,
Code.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
so we
it.
do like shows from the 90s and the 2000s.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So I did Guy Code. But I did Guy Code and that was cool and I loved working
That's
with him.
it.
So when he came up here, I was like, dude, here's a show that I'd love to do, like a South African take the piss type prank show or something.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So he loved it, and then when I went back now, we shot for 2 days. So
That's
we'll
sick.
see. Yeah.
Is the pilot out yet?
No, it's in editing now.
Plug it.
Yeah.
So you haven't even got it. So we could get him on before he's famous. Yeah. So
Well,
you
Dustin,
just help us
promo
out
it.
here, Dustin.
Dude, it's my first show that I'm like a director on.
Yeah.
So what are the odds of it?
But
getting
do you know what,
accepted?
Dustin? If-
I'm more just happy I finally tried something.
Try-
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. Listen, never say never, don't
That's
you know
all
what I
you
mean?
can do.
Yeah,
All you
yeah,
can do
yeah.
is have a go in it. But if
Absolutely, man.
MTV do buy the show and you need anyone to, you need the face of the show.
We do
South
need
Africa.
a face of the
Yeah.
show. Yeah.
I've got a face.
Yeah.
And I'm
yeah.
the actor, remember? So
Yeah. It's so hard to decide now. You know what I mean? Season 1, season 2, baby.
He could be in the prequel.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, I love South Africa, so I go back all the time to
That's
answer that
sick,
question.
man.
Yeah, I go every year, and then Jade, my partner, my baby, I take them. Like,
Yeah.
I love South Africans are so cool, man. That's what people don't get. Like, they sell the story like it's all crime and there's racial hate and all that stuff, but it's not that.
Yeah,
like,
I
it's
mean, I
not.
suppose-
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you go, you can chat shit and laugh with almost anyone. It's such a cool culture like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
can be in a shop and I can just chat to you and we'll chat, dude, for
Yeah,
like a podcast for 10, 15 minutes
Yeah,
at a
yeah,
guy's
yeah.
time. And that's regardless of race, gender, age,
Yeah.
background. It's so cool like that.
Yeah, yeah,
I think,
You know,
I, think,
like
I
we-
think maybe the reason there's such a misconception about it as well is because, like, maybe a little bit further back in history, it was like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
because
absolutely.
the majority of the population probably haven't been to South Africa,
Yes.
all the only knowledge of what
Yeah,
of it
yeah,
that they've got
Yeah.
is those
No, I've got you, man.
preconceptions.
Is
Look,
it
it's
still-
fair enough, you know, so I
Yeah.
get that, yeah.
Is it still in certain areas bad on the race thing? Because I know it, like there is like at one point there was
Yeah.
like quite a big divide, wasn't he? Like with the
Quite a big the
No,
apartheid.
no, obviously, you
Just
know,
a small
but
little problem.
is it still? Is it
It's not a
still?
whole legal dispute you have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blew over,
I
blew
feel
over.
like fucking a man was locked up for multiple years. But is there still that big divide in some areas,
Yeah.
or is it?
Because
I don't think, like, you know what, I
yeah.
could say yes, and then you get into shit because people say no, and you say no. And it's,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Depends
think
where
there
you're
is a truth there. I think it's like, it depends on where you're from.
And depends on
I
who you
will
are.
say that if you said, I'd say I believe well over 90% of South Africans love each other and want to
Yeah.
live in a better country. That's
Yeah,
mine.
yeah,
That's,
yeah.
And
That's
I think we got the same problems as you. Politicians talking shit.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
all those problems, man.
Everywhere,
You know?
everywhere
Yeah.
is the same.
Well,
fucking
when
shit,
I
innit?
went to Edinburgh for a few days in August. I went and stayed with Kyle Legacy up in Edinburgh.
Yes.
And I can't remember the guy's name now. He was honestly though, like in terms of
Scott Zadenote. Comedian, South Africa. I don't know why. I
Say
just
that
did
again.
no,
Is that him?
no.
No. Okay. never mind.
He's
We must never play charades on the stage. Fucking tree. No, wait there. Fuck me. It's got 4 arms.
but I can't for the life of me remember his name. I've got him on
Chris
Instagram.
acting like a tree. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But
Brilliant.
Is he actually an actor? You all fucking.
no.
Hey, I like the fact that you believe it. Though. I like
I
it.
didn't. I was just joking.
Both
Yeah.
managers. What did he say?
At a quick glance, then he
Wait,
could've
I was just
he
joking.
could've been in this.
Well, comedian are we?
Riffing, baby. Bob. That's Dusty. What's a Dusty Davies?
Dusty Davies.
Dusty Davies.
Just put on a wig and come on. All right, yeah.
Yeah, the guy in Edinburgh, he was saying like he lives completely off grid in South Africa. He's like,
Yeah.
he's and like he lives in a little caravan to himself. He's got like a little allotment where his caravan is. He grows all his own crops. He sources all his own electricity, and he just lives off grid there.
Yeah. A lot of people do, man. I got a friend now. They sunk their own borehole. They got all solar. Like, that's cool, man. He's the king of his kingdom. You know, like, his land is his land now, man. That's so cool. Yeah,
I
yeah.
wish it was easier to do that here, you know.
Yeah, it's not.
You just got the sun problem. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
solar, like, okay.
Yeah.
We can run a kettle. You know?
For
What do you
20
want?
minutes.
You want a bath?
That kettle's got to make the tea, be the shower, and keep us warm for the next 3 days. It hasn't stopped raining for 9 weeks.
You got nothing in your kitchen, just a kettle.
We had a dog. I haven't seen it for weeks.
You're like cooking vegetables with the steam pot of the kettle. Like, you just maximize the
Trying to
output.
light joints over the kettle steam and shit like that.
Yeah, because you can also grow your own weed. It's legal in South Africa.
Fuck off, I'm moving.
See,
How long are we going over?
How cool is this for a rule though? You can't buy and sell it. It's not legal, but you can grow your own. Yeah.
Boss,
Which
boss,
is,
yeah,
that's how it
boss,
should be.
that's
Because then you
great.
don't get like dealers putting THC, whoa,
Yeah,
and messing up. It's
Spraying
like
it with
grow
loads of
your own
shit, yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
yeah.
Would, yeah,
Go on.
would you ever move? Like, if you'd ever have the thought of moving back there, or you like, is this you now?
Yeah, man. I would like when I went back now. It's heartbreaking sometimes that I don't live there. I really
Yeah.
do.
Really?
Like
Yeah.
I it's not. I cried at one point because I'm like, dude. Here's the thing. Like I have a daughter now, right?
Yeah.
And I grew up in Johannesburg. My dad grew up in Johannesburg. And this is where it hit me. I saw a pub, and the pub's now it got burnt down, and it's a new pub. But when I drive past, like in Liverpool, I just see Liverpool. I don't see what it was 10 years ago.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
like
See what
when
it
I'm
used
in my hometown, I can go back in time. Does
Yeah,
it make-
okay,
So
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
see the pub. I can see what it used to be. Does it make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I've
yeah.
got memories there. Like the one time we all got pissed, a guy passed out in his car. We were trying to tip the car over. And some guy punched me once there. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
cool
yeah,
stories.
yeah,
man.
yeah.
And then my dad used to drink there as well. So like I grew up knowing, he knows Johannesburg from this time, and I knew all those stories.
Yeah.
And so my daughter, she doesn't have that. Do you know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
can't.
no.
So
You
her
can't show
stories
her
will
that,
be
yeah.
different. Yeah. So that's quite emotional.
She'll be
man.
able to see when the old Runcorn Bridge gets knocked down.
Who doesn't want to be there for that?
Do you reckon it'll
exactly.
ever become a possibility?
Maybe, man. You never know. Like Jade, my partner, she's English. She'd move to South Africa tomorrow if I said she
Really?
knows.
Yeah.
It's a cool country again, man. It's
Yeah.
just, look, if it wasn't for the crime and maybe just opportunity of, like, economic opportunity,
Yeah.
I would be back there. Do you know
Is
what I mean?
it-
Is it slim on job? Like the
Is it quite
job?
a poor economy?
Yeah.
Dude, it's weird. It's weird. I don't know how to, like the economy of South Africa, if you take the economy of Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales, I think, and add them up, South Africa's bigger. So it's not a small economy, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And we got like
But it's
60 million people.
Yeah, but
Shit.
that's what I mean. But it's just a bigger place. So obviously, when it comes down to
yeah.
statistics, it's even though there's a lot more people who are in the richer frame, there's a lot more who are in the
Absolutely.
poor frame.
Yeah,
because it's that
percentage-wise,
big.
it's probably roughly the same, but
Yeah.
individually,
Is it-
Like
Yeah,
I think
much bigger.
unemployment in the youth is like over 50% now.
It's
Yeah.
like a
It's
thing.
not
Is
a
it,
good-
is it on like a scale of like? I know it's obviously not on the same scale as in like there's a lot more poor there, but Joe, like I went to Cuba and it's literally rich and
Yeah.
poor. There's no in between. It's one end or the
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
Is that what it's like, or is
Sort
there, is
of.
there
I'd
way-
say there's a middle class. Like there is a middle class. It's not that bad. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? There's something called, like you measure the rich versus the poor. That's like not poverty, but relative poverty.
Yeah,
Does that make
yeah,
sense?
like
Yeah,
bread
yeah.
line.
Yeah, and that's something called like the Gini coefficient, and that's linked. That is linked to violent crime. So if you get violent crime, that's often linked to
high?
yeah, like
high class.
having. It's not poverty that creates crime.
Yeah.
It's poverty next to wealthiness.
Well, no,
And that's that
But then
picture I
again,
showed
no,
you.
like-
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, no,
Because you
that makes
can't
sense.
expect it. Dude, you struggling, and someone's got a Rolex on their
yeah,
arm. You're like,
fucking-
well,
yeah,
how
no,
long
makes
till you
sense.
start going?
Yeah.
Hey,
And if
fuck
you're,
him.
imagine being hungry and you see some old woman
Dude,
driving past with
yeah,
the
yeah.
nicest looking samosa
Yeah.
you've seen all
Give me the samosa. Yes. A hot samosa, baby. Because my kettle wasn't steaming
Hang on.
mine properly.
Only half. Only
Yeah,
half.
only half, I
love
suppose.
Only half.
But like, no, I get that though, because like if you're living in like in a favela, like shanty towns, that, and literally across the road, across a 6-lane motorway,
Yeah.
there's the richest people in the entire continent there.
It's so much jealousy,
It's
yeah, yeah.
bound to breed jealousy.
Do you know
And
what it's like?
it's not even jealousy
Yeah.
though. It's like it's fair enough.
Yeah, that's the
It's
thing,
your
man. You
life,
can
what?
understand it. That's why I'm saying you understand it.
Yeah.
You understand if I was born him, I'd probably do what he does, and if I was born me, I'd do what I do.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
hey, man, I get
100%.
it.
You've got
I
to
think
survive,
It's
haven't you?
entirely. I think people forget how true the saying of like you're the product of the environment is. Like
Yeah.
you only know what you know, and as much
yeah.
as you can try and understand someone else's situation for richer or for poorer, you can never fully understand it regardless. Do you know what I
unless
mean?
you've
It's,
lived it,
it's like
yeah.
it's like I remember hearing a story about like Philly in America, Philadelphia, and it's like people in houses over there, people who have got bulletproof. People have got like, you could walk down, you know, like the picket fences and like like everyone's joined, and people have got like, you'd have like 10 houses and then a house that's got bulletproof glass all over the house, and you know, and like they're the rich ones, but they're still living in the poverty-stricken area. And it's like that house gets attacked daily, but nothing ever happens because obviously they're bulletproof and that. But they're rich. Not rich, but they're
how long do they just leave the
Yeah.
neighborhood? You know what I mean?
It's
Like, at
weird.
what point do you know you're not welcome? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They keep trying to shoot
When
us and
you're
kill us,
gonna
but I
coat
mean,
your entire house with bulletproof glass, maybe it's time to go, let's see what's on the market.
They're trying to lie in the Pope's van. You know that Pope that goes around and that thing, they just in that glass fucking cage. You know, man.
Yeah, but
that's weird.
I heard that was how it is over there. It's that's how, like, even on the same street.
Yeah.
When you go back, how long do
crazy,
you go back for? Do you go back for a few weeks, do you?
Yeah, like it depends. So this last time was just a week and a bit. My cousin turned 21, so it's quite.
nice.
We do that quite a big thing.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
All right then.
Yeah.
So obviously you've done that. You went to Asia. What was the attraction to come over here then?
I was always coming to the UK.
Always.
That's work your way around.
So like my dad lives here. I've got a sister who's English. So my dad, because he grew up in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
But his parents were British. Does it make sense? So like he spent summers in England and stuff. So he's as British as he is African. Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. He probably identifies more as English than South African in some ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and then my sister's full on English, man. She's like, "Oi, dosti."
Yeah. Okay.
What, you can't...
Where was she born? Is she born?
She was born
Liverpool area or London?
She was born in Johannesburg,
Oh yeah.
I think.
You know, is this your sister?
Yeah. But I don't know if it was Cape Town or I think it was Johannesburg. And then when she was like 7, her and my dad got divorced. So she's my half sister. So they moved to England. Back to England.
Right,
Oh, okay.
And my
I
dad studied in England. Like he studied in London.
Oh, okay,
So,
I see.
and he lived
Oh,
here in
yeah.
the 70s and, you know, so.
Yeah.
So how did you end up here? Why in Liverpool? If they're not
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Liverpool or the surrounding areas,
No,
how
so
did you end up here?
Jade's from the southwest, and then when we moved first, I went to London. I did Backyard Comedy Club, and then the comedians there, I think it was Marcus Smith was one of them, and they were like, "Go north, that's where the best scene is."
Yeah.
And then I came here, and I was just, man, I love the comedy scene. I genuinely mean this. I think the most talented comics, I'd say, I think in the world, have come in the northwest of England.
Really, yeah.
So good, man.
No, I
it
agree.
really
I'm one
is.
of the most talented comedians
Yeah.
in the world. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
No, I really do, man. Like they're just so good, and I think the audience is become just as good because they're good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
The better
yeah.
the comics, the better the audience like feeds on each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
a lovely scene to be part of, man.
Well,
I
that's
think
why-
everyone
that's why
supports
I-
each other. It's just such a cool scene.
That's why I fucking hate it when you see just certain corners of a really good, whether it be music or comedy. I hate when people start to try and like monopolize this thing, because it breeds such a, like, I don't want to say like a toxic environment, but like you've got like people who won't gig in a certain place because then that means they've put themselves on the wrong side with this person or this, and it, like I think like the best way to build a good comedy scene is for it to just be as open and accessible as possible.
Absolutely.
Is it-
I mean, if you run, the best thing you can do for a scene is make everyone's shows as good as possible.
Yeah.
Because that's going to help everyone.
Yeah.
As soon as you have one bad experience, that audience goes, "Oh, live comedy shit," and so we're all on the same team on that.
Yeah,
Man.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
every
yeah,
gig you go to,
yeah.
like, I mean, you don't ask at every gig, but you always see an MC at every gig. We'll be like, has anyone been to see live comedy before? And only half of the room says yes. The other half's always no. Every gig you go to, you can guarantee there's going to be a decent percentage, possibly a minority, but a decent percentage of that audience has never been to live comedy before. So if they go and they go and see a shit show, whether it be
It's
because
going to put your perception.
and
Yeah.
then they're not going to want to go back.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, makes
so
sense.
we don't like that's the that frustrates me when
Yeah,
people act
it can
like
get
that.
frustrating.
Is it
to be
hard?
fair.
Is it harder? Like, do you find certain areas like, I know I've been going on what you just said. Do you find certain areas of England easier to gig in than others? As in, like, do you find that the crowd are more welcoming or less welcoming? Not
welcoming, but like get you or nothing. Like
more on the same
of course.
wavelength
Yes,
on your
yes,
jokes
yes.
and
Absolutely,
stuff like
man.
that.
So obviously, being from another country, the easiest place for me to perform is London. Like I just do the best there because it's more. You know what I mean? Like there's obviously they compute me easier. I don't know what it is. Man. It's just like,
I think it's because in London as well there is a lot more multiculturalism.
More-
Not that it's less welcomed up north, but it's the people are just more used to it down south.
Whereas I did a show in the valleys in Wales, and like I don't know what I'd obviously just I'm not gonna do well there. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I remember-
people
I
just look
remember
at me
going-
like, why are you here? Like genuinely, I just at some point I was like, should I tell them? You know what I mean? Like,
Do they know?
yeah.
I
Like,
remember
do you want to?
going-
Yeah, it was so weird, man. But it's not like I was like, yeah. And I want to go back and adapt and learn.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I remember
you're
going
gonna-
up to a little town I went with Gary. You know James Kilvington?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
went
yeah.
and done a
Of
gig
course,
for James in a little town on the very, very, very far east coast. I think it was northeast, but it was right on the fucking coast, called Staiths. Middle of nowhere. Like, it was in a little sports club, country club pub. It was like the town was so small, and like the majority of the town, this little town was in this social club this night.
Yeah.
For this gig, and like, because obviously they don't very often get people from out of town visiting. It's like, so for there to be a lad from fucking I think he's a Geordie, James. I could have gotten that wrong. He could be from Sunderland, and I might have just been racist. I don't know. But like, and then two Scousers and Clinton Baptiste.
What?
Yeah. All on the lineup. All on the lineup. And there's these people who are from the fucking back ass end of nowhere. Like, they
Came
just
and watched,
they're just as used to seeing livestock as they are their cousins. Like one of those. Like, if you'd have walked, like, not even 3 miles that way, you were in the sea. It was right on the fucking
Amazing.
coast. And they just, I remember, because like my material, it's not like sharp, like joke. It's like more storyteller, which leads to a punchline. I'd be like 2-3 minutes into like a 5-minute bit, and then you just hear people just start speaking to each other, and then it's like, come on. I had one table of lads on the front row who were paying attention, and then other than that, it was like elderly people who, because I was talking about weed, thought I was a demon.
You think
Massage
it'd be
your
the other way
spirit, yeah.
around, though? In that situation, you think like the younger generation would be like, oh, fucking be arsed. Like, have a less attention span. Whereas then the older people are like, if they, as soon as an older person in comedy hears something that they're not interested in, you just
They
go
switch off.
and just
You completely switch
Yeah,
off.
good. You
Like,
know what?
yeah.
Because if you're like, you're still polite when you're young. You get to a point where you're like, you know what, fuck
it,
I don't care, man. I'm tired of caring.
I've got 4
I don't
years
care.
left. I'm not spending 20 minutes of it listening to this.
Exactly. Yeah. Carry on. I'm just gonna have a chat.
I'm just gonna
You
do
know
my
what I
thing.
mean? Fuck yeah.
I remember being in there.
Fair play.
I remember being in. I went for the piss, and some fella went. He was like, "Do you want a line?" And I was like, I don't. He was like, "Well, I'll only charge you a tenner." I was like, for one line. He was like, oh, yeah. He was like, that's what we do. I was like, if I'm paying a tenner, I want half of the fuck. And he was like, no. He's like, that's what we do. If we give our mates a line, we charge them a tenner. And I was like, tell you what, you can keep that.
Hey, that's not your mate,
He
then,
must
is
be
it?
fucking
You're
racking
fucking
it
racking
in.
I think he owned the fucking club, lad.
That's insane.
I can't,
Okay,
I
here's
can't
the
wait till
story,
I go
yeah.
out next.
There's
I
a
like
story
that.
in Asia. There's a capital of Cambodia. So there's a comedian I know, a Canadian comedian. He went to the show there, right? And then he went outside afterwards, and there was guys having a joint. So he was like, they were like, oh, you want like some joint, right? So what would you do?
That's right.
Yeah, cool.
Obviously.
So he has a puff or two, and then he said like, man, count to 6, and he was like, okay, fuck me, what's going on? He was like, what have you guys got on there? And they're like, touch of the white devil, yo. And
Damn
it was
DNC.
heroin. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. They fucked him up, dude.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Count
to
to
6.
outside smoking this.
I'd love to have seen that. Count to 6. Why? What do you mean? What do
So
you mean?
guess
Count to
what?
Whoa!
He woke up the next morning apparently in his bathtub with a dead chicken, dude. Like what? How do you do that? How do you do that? Yeah.
Must have been doing some sacrificial shit. eh, lad?
Satanic ritual stuff.
Yeah,
that means.
lad, that
There's
was
so
that.
many tea light candles. What's going on?
Yeah, but that's the drugs around comedy as well. I think like them giving you a line, that shit. There's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like
It's a good job you didn't do it.
as enjoyable as comedy is, it can genuinely be one of the most unhealthy industries in the world,
yeah,
though,
yeah.
because like people spend like it's not abnormal, or it's not frowned upon as a comedian to be in a pub getting drunk on a Tuesday. It's like Holland doing a gig.
No.
Yeah.
Can you
like-
eat before a gig as well? Do you eat before a gig? Or
Yeah.
I don't get hungry before a show. So it's also not healthy because I come home at like
It's like a
11 midnight,
nervous thing.
then I'm eating at midnight. You know
Is
what I
that
mean?
like a
And I'm not
nervous thing,
sleeping.
though?
Yeah, dude, it must be. Here's what I thought. Okay, this is true. You know when I said I got robbed, right? That experience of going through crime is similar to when you're getting nervous for a show. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Heart rate, you're fucking tense. It's
Yeah.
like, I wonder what that does to your body if you do that 5 nights a week for like 20 years.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
you're
We'll
getting
find out.
a little bit robbed. You know what I mean? Every time.
A little bit,
Like,
a
it's
little
just
bit
like-
less robbed.
Yeah.
So what? It's like not at gunpoint, and then less and less
exactly.
and less.
Yeah, so here's a thing for you as well. Adam, I think when you done the Danny Davies and Friends the other week, and we were in the green room when you were talking about your drinking and things.
Yes.
I think was you saying about how big of a part it had on you when you'd go to these comedy nights, and it was like the first thing you'd do when you were there was to have a drink anyway, and now you don't drink anymore.
It's almost a custom.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
What happened there? So when did you know it got to a point where it was like, I need to fuck this drinking off?
Yeah, man. I turned 30. And then I was just like, okay, I know how to drink. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I tried to do sober, and I came home pissed like 4 a.m. on the 3rd. Okay.
That's
like,
when you know it's a problem.
Like maybe that's not the best relationship.
Was it the weekend?
Hey? No, dude, that was the thing. I lived in Bangkok, dude. It was a Monday fucking night.
Yeah, I was gonna
Like,
say.
it wasn't,
That's how you
it wasn't
know then,
Saturday and like, I was celebrating a wedding, dude. It was like Tuesday 4 a.m. I rocked up with McDonald's for Jay. And I was like, I love you. And then I was like, okay, maybe I've got to stop this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because you got to know what you are, man. I was like, okay, just have one drink. But one drink me likes a 2 drink, and 2 drinks like it's a party.
Doesn't stop.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then a lot of comics are sober, dude. Because you're just always in a pub.
Yeah.
So like, how do you, you know what I mean?
You're always having a
weird
bevy,
because if you, so most of the gigs you'll do, they're not always in comedy clubs. A lot of the time it's in bars or it's in pubs, and then even when you are in comedy clubs have got bars in them.
Yeah.
So it's like you're just constantly around it.
And there's
becomes
free
so
drinks
normal.
often. It's all like, hey, a rider and free drinks. So they just throwing alcohol at you the whole time.
Yeah.
So you might actually be fine. Like, I didn't think I obviously didn't have the best relationship with alcohol. I do some crazy shit when I'm drunk.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
But when there's a difference between like your normal life, like think of you do cocaine twice a year, maybe but imagine everyone's offering you your shit all the time.
You don't
hey, you
want
want
to
to drink, you want to drink,
Yeah,
you want
yeah.
to drink. Monday night, you're like, yeah, I do, dude. That sounds
What
good.
have you got?
Any heroin?
Yeah, because then people come up to you after a show if you drink it, and they'll buy you a drink, and they're so wonderful to you.
And especially if you had the good gig as well. You know, come out to celebrate.
Yeah.
After a good gig, if someone offers you a pint, you're taking it.
So what though, is that led you to the point where it's like you don't even have one drink?
No,
You don't drink
you got
at
to be
all?
honest with who you are, dude. I'm not a.
You've got an addictive personality, is that what it
absolutely.
is?
That's fair. That's
Oh,
fair.
okay. So you
Yeah,
don't
but it's
even have a
knowing-
drink at all then?
It's knowing that though, innit? Knowing the fact that you've got to do that to not do it. Is it like got to stop to
You
not
got to know
have
what
the
you
drink?
are. Do you know what I mean? Like I know I've got a bit of an addictive OC. I don't know what it is. Man, but like today I probably drank literally 8 cups of coffee.
So
And then
you're on to the
before,
next
I went
thing,
to that another
You've
one. You know what I
replaced
mean?
it.
You've replaced it, yeah,
Can you
yeah.
imagine if I did cocaine, dude? That's like I'm dead.
That, do you know
It'd
what
be
you
like
were saying
cocaine,
then?
bit.
Do you know what you're
Yeah.
saying? Like, do you know what you were
10
saying then? Not
kilos.
especially if you've had a good gig, you're bound to have a drink. When it becomes dangerous is when you have a drink after a bad gig, because you're not drinking to celebrate. Then you're drinking to
drown
forget
your
the last.
sorrows.
You've
Yeah,
been drinking
yeah,
to forget. Because like honestly, I've not. I wouldn't say I've lived a particularly traumatic life. I think as far as life goes, I've had ups and downs, but reasonably like the bad things that have happened, it's not out of the ordinary. It's just it's like a relative might die, and it's everybody experiences that. But like there's genuinely not many things that feel worse on a personal level than going on stage for 20 minutes and dying on your ass for 20 minutes. It is fucking horrible. And if you start drinking after that, it is a dangerous game, because you can't just go and have a pint and go, well, that was bad. You'll have a pint, and then you'll feel the pint a little bit, and then you'll be like, that was one of the worst times. I'm having another pint. And then whereas if you have a good gig, then you can just go and have a pint and be like, that was good, and get in the train. No.
Have you ever had that?
Oh, bad gigs.
No,
Yeah.
like to that extent where you've literally the whole show's just nothing's happened.
Yeah, I don't think a comic on this planet is not.
Yeah,
bad.
it's ever
That's why it's called it. You don't understand. You think like, oh, it's embarrassing having that many people look at you and not laugh. It's like, no, because you're telling them your content. Like you've written all this shit, and it's no one's like dared you to do it. You know what I mean? Like if I dared you, that's a different thing. But like, hang on, I gave up my evening.
I chose this.
I was
I wrote
sat in my
this
bills,
shit.
stoned,
My mom thinks
writing
I'm
this.
chasing a dream. You know what I mean? Like, and then I'm eating shit, dude. It's so terrible.
Nah, I get it.
It's
Nah,
so
You
bad.
get
horrible.
So
personal
bad.
with them. You're telling them your life, and you're trying to
Yeah.
turn your life into a joke. Like, you getting robbed, that's a fucking traumatic thing, but you're trying to spin that into a joke.
Yeah.
No cunt laughing at that. I'd fucking
Yeah,
take it. I'd take it personal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these always say to me, they always try and get me to do stand up.
Do it, yeah.
Have a go.
Nah, I couldn't, because you know, if no
Why?
one laughed, I'd die. I'd honestly, if
Is
I
that
was
why
to be,
you're not doing it? Is
honestly,
that why you're not
right,
doing it?
honest to
I
God,
wouldn't get Joe. Let's
me,
get into it.
so people say to me sometimes that, yo, you're a very confident person, this and this, but I don't think I am. I think I'm quite a shy person.
Yeah.
Joking.
You
man.
see it on camera and broadcasting
Nah,
something
I
to
know,
5,000
but
people.
that's so different though. It's so different. I honestly class myself as quite a shy person. I'm quite a nervous person. I'm quite a kid who's a little bit riddled with anxiety. If I was to stand on a stage and tell a joke that I genuinely wrote down and thought was fucking hysterical and no one laughed, I would not be able to continue with any of the
But
show.
that's what Danny
That's
says.
fair.
The thing is there, you got to separate yourself from the joke. Like, even the funniest person in the world writes shit that's not funny. That's just undeniable.
no, I
man.
get that. Yeah.
You know?
But I think it was if I was to be on a stage and tell my first joke and no one laughed, I think I wouldn't know
Yeah,
what
yeah.
to do
I
next.
got
I
you.
literally crumbled.
Why wasn't that funny? You there? Why wasn't that funny?
You little dickhead. I'm
Me man said that was boss.
Oh, I see. Oh, you're laughing. You're laughing at your mates.
That's one of my favourite things I've ever
My
seen.
boss. That was
One of my favourite
not even
things.
funny. Boss. That was fucking boss, son.
Honestly, one of my
Oh, that's
favourite
so
things.
cool. Say that again.
One of my favourite things I've ever seen at a gig. One of my favourite things I've ever seen at a gig.
Can we enjoy the moment? Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna like you before.
When you're so funny, like, stop laughing. We got fucking 1 hour, man. Come on.
I've just been lighted. I've got to go in a minute. But
You got the best laugh, you know.
I didn't see
You got the best laugh,
He's
you
got
know.
the best laughs in the world. But yeah, it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen at a gig.
Yeah.
It was Tom Keegan, right? And we were doing one of the Mile High Club shows in Metrocola, just down the road from Hot Water. And Tom Keegan's set's hilarious. Tom Keegan's got a really good set, and it's like he delivers it well too. And I've very rarely ever seen Tom Keegan go to a gig and bomb, or even not just get the best reception. Most of the time you see him, he goes on stage, people love him, and he was doing this gig, and it was pretty much full of room, and the crowd had been a little bit, they weren't very receptive to stuff all night, and I was like third or fourth on, so like I'd seen it, I knew it was coming. I was thinking like this is gonna be a bit of work. Yes. And then Tom Keegan went on, and he done one of his bits in his set, and it's a good bit. It fucking kills everywhere he does it, and he got like the odd like. And then, like, usually...
You're going next as well?
Usually...
You're like,
You're all at the same time going, which relative am I saying? Just tags, I'm leaving. And, like, usually comedians will just brush past it and carry on. And he stopped and he went, why aren't you laughing? And he was like, I know, that's funny. And he was looking at some guy on the front row and he was going, laugh! Laugh! And he was, and then everyone loved him after that. And it was like, it was mad, because I'd never seen anybody approach it that way.
You can take it in your stride though, can't you? Do you know what I mean?
Like most people.
I thought, do you know that lad the other week, and he was doing the most absurd jokes
James
you've ever heard. But I thought all of his
What a
jokes were
set,
funny.
man.
And
What a
I
set.
thought it was,
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
I thought it was fucking hysterical. But I thought the funniest part was when he told that B&Q joke, I thought
mate.
it was fucking absolutely class, and no one laughed, and he was like, do you fucking not get that? I was fucking
He's
in
proper
bits.
talented, man. I love watching him.
he's so
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
funny.
Well, do you know, he messaged me the other day, Jamie. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying about it, because it wasn't anything like personal, like he wasn't opening up to me, but like he messaged me and he was like, he said, do you ever get people like saying stuff about the stuff you say on stage? And I was like, in what way? Because like he goes and does like a lot of the open mics all over the Northwest, and that Jamie, and he was like, just like other comics saying like, oh, you know, you shouldn't really say that on stage, and you can't really. I was like, lads, all the time. Like people are always gonna
It's
do that.
subjective, innit? It's like, I know what he was saying, I know it's bang out of order, but that's what I love about comedy,
thing-
and that's why I think it's not dying, but like, you're so careful on what you've got to say, and like years ago, why comedy was so good is because you had that freedom to sort of say whatever you sort of wanted, and now there's like these set rules where it's like, oh, you can't really go.
You've got to be,
You know
you've
what
got
I
to be,
think? It's
you've
not
got
so
to
much
be at the
that-
top to be able
Fucking,
to do that.
I fucking hate it.
I don't think it's so much, or tell me if you think I'm wrong. I don't think
I'm
it's so
getting-
much. Yeah, you're okay.
That's why
But-
you can't be on stage.
So that's why you
I'm
need to
just
do
passionate, you know what I
stand-up,
mean?
But I don't think it's so much you can't say. Like, there's always been stuff you can't say.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no, I get-
But I
yeah,
think
yeah.
what's happening is, in like a creative place, like a Tuesday, being able to do new material, you should be able to go over the line there, because otherwise, how do you know where the line
Exactly.
is?
Yeah. No,
so
100%.
people go, you should be on the line. It's like you find out where the line is by going over it and going, oh, fuck. That was the
can't do
line.
that.
So that's creative expression, man. That's literally what it is.
Yeah.
And especially as a
if
fairly
you
new
stop
comic.
people doing that, then the line, we just stop
There
asking
is
where
no
the line
line,
is.
and is it?
Do you ever think-
Well, it just gets smaller and smaller,
Yeah.
and you feel constrained.
With you to being a comedian, then obviously more so yourself because you've done it for longer. Do you ever reckon it's going to get to that point where it's going to be like there's going to be no such thing as like a comedy?
No, I think it's going back in the opposite direction.
Do you reckon?
I think especially the last like I mean I've only been doing it now for 2 years, but I think now in the last 12 months in comparison to the 12 months before that, a lot of people are pushing back against the whole I hate saying like cancel culture because you sound like a dickhead saying it, but like
no, but it's fucking true. It's true. No,
you
it
are-
is.
But
I
it's that
think-
resistance
I
to
know-
the line, whatever
I
it
know
is.
exactly what you're
who knows
saying.
what it is,
I think
but we
you're
know.
seeing
Yeah.
a lot more people now when they say like whether it be a comedian or anybody, like 2 years ago, if you'd have said something and then people on Twitter or whatever fucking platform they were on were like, you should, they come out like 2 days later with a big statement of apology, and now people are like, no, fuck you.
fucking
Like
pathetic,
at the end of the day, like I've got my audience who are watching me for that. I'm not going to stop doing that because you don't think I should.
No,
I think it's going back the other way now, and I'm quite glad
I
it is,
hope
to
it
be
does.
fair.
It's all, as you say, with the subjective thing, it is, because you could have I know you used to say when we were talking about your jokes before, and you used to be like dead dark, and like he'd say he had this joke about a cancer thing where what's the best way to get rid of the cancer, and it was what's the best way to get rid of chewy out your ear, and he'd ask the audience, and like a few people would say an answer, and he'd go, no, get cancer.
Okay, I see the joke.
And it's dark, but if it's subjective to the point where you could have a cancer patient sitting there and he wouldn't laugh, but other people
that's where
still
it's
think it's
subjective,
funny.
man. It's like my mom had cancer, but I can find that funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
totally understand someone whose mom has and won't
Yeah,
find
yeah.
that funny.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
what I
comes
mean.
to
Loads of people.
Some people.
Listen, my dad died of cancer. My brother's got autism, but these cunts still fucking rack up jokes about cancer and autism, and I still find it funny.
Yeah.
It's good material.
It is. It's brilliant. Like I just
You
thought.
should go on stage.
I know, exactly.
There's
Yeah, I know.
There's
I
your
know.
5 minutes done.
Yeah. I've got that trauma behind me
Yeah.
to make it funny. Do you know what I mean?
He's got the X Factor
That's what I mean.
backstory.
I was never molested. I was never kidnapped. No one ever died when I was young. And I was like, just give me something.
He's got the X Factor backstory.
I know.
Britain's
there we
got
go.
talent. I'd love it.
Yeah.
Honestly, Britain's got talent. Would
he is.
All he's got to go on is just go on with your decks. Play a 30-minute SoundCloud mix, and at the end,
And then go, this
now
one-
here's my story.
You know what this song makes me think of? A relative that died of cancer. Yeah. There we go. There we go. There's your story. People are voting for you.
Right, I'm gonna get
You can play the worst tune of the world. They be sitting there going,
I'm sorry if I'm
I
coming
really
across
feel
wrong.
trauma.
I've got autism in the
It
family.
reminds
Smashed
me of
it.
that video. I seen a video on TikTok and it was like a clip.
Daddy just walks in, suck his knob, dude. There's a letter. You're fucking done, dude. You are done. You are the man.
It reminds me of that video. I seen a video when it was the 4 X Factor judges, right? And they're on, and there's a camera on them, and then it turns to someone who's obviously got a green screen behind them, and they go, "You're all right?" And they go, "Oh, what's your name?" And he goes, "Oh, my name's Bruce." And he goes, "Oh, where you from, Bruce?" And he goes, "Oh, no matter where I'm from." And he goes, "My mum's a spastic, my dad's a this, my brother's a this, my dad's a that." And then he just turns back to them and he go, 4 yeses, and they give them the gold buzzer straight away. No, it's obviously a piss take.
Oh, right.
Someone even edited someone's
okay.
good. You were
I
like,
thought
oh,
that was
shit.
real.
Yeah, no,
I thought
no.
that was real. I was like, are you doing Chris's acting now again? Where the fuck am I? Like, was there shrooms in the thing?
Even as an actor, couldn't have that many problems.
But here's what I think. Tell me, I'm going to do like a shroom moment, right?
Yeah.
But this is what I think of comedy. Like, comedy and society have a relationship. Tell me,
Yeah.
I'm happy. But like, so comedy is meant to be the truth. Everyone says you got to be able to say the truth,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So there's a world where society is like a face and comedy is a mirror. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Like, we just reflect to society what they
yeah,
are.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then they get angry with the reflection. But it's like, no, dude,
That's the
it's
chocolate
society
treater,
that's
yeah.
got
That's
the thing.
such a good bit of putting there.
Yeah.
Another little word from one of the sponsors. Dan, who's the sponsor?
I'm glad you asked, Bob, because Gary was over there looking awfully confused.
I was very confused.
Yeah, well, Gary, you'll be glad to know the sponsor. It's on your t-shirt, sir.
Fucking hell it is as well.
Technicals.
Technicals.
And if you're sitting there wondering over technicals, what are technicals? What do technicals do? See this t-shirt? They do this.
Wow.
Technicals are a sports and activewear brand that put a heavy focus on keeping their attire stylish, keeping it contemporary. So if you live an active lifestyle, but you don't want to dress like a geography teacher, head over to technicalsbrand.com and use code.
Happening 20.
I'm glad you remembered.
Now,
'cause I
of course,
forgot.
you can buy the stuff in JD, but please don't do that. Please go onto the website. Help us out. help you out. Get 20% off. Happenin20, technicalsbrand.com. Boom.
Love you.
Because most comedy's obviously observational, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a lot of
It's
comedy is
all.
observational.
Like if it's not true, it's not funny. That's
No,
like,
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and
No,
people
but-
go, what if
yeah.
you exaggerate? It's from the truth.
And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
everything is
myself
true.
9 times out of 10, I'll laugh at stuff that I've experienced that person has said.
Yeah,
So
even,
yeah, 100%.
even if it's nowhere near as funny as
as it's
everyone
meant to
else
be.
thinks
If
it's
you've
bit-
experienced that,
Yeah.
it's fucking funny
Yeah.
10 times more.
But then there's also the side which is like, okay, let's say I come and I do a joke, but it's such a joke that would have maybe worked in the 1800s, but not anymore. Then is society right to reject that or wrong?
depends
Well,
on
they
what
haven't
you
lived it, have they? So it's not. Would
It's
it,
hard
would they
to
find it
say.
funny?
You don't know. do you?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to discuss these things. I
It's
think
like-
you got to be
it's-
able to say, where's the line? That's the whole point.
Yeah,
you go over the
yeah,
line.
yeah.
No. Everyone goes, dude, that's too far.
It's like
Yeah.
all,
That's not you. Yeah. Does it make
it's like
sense?
all this, like if you watch Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah. Dude,
If you watch
yes. Have you watched Laurel
if
and
you
Hardy?
watch
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
if
yeah.
you
They're
watch
so
like
good,
the-
man.
if you watch
Yeah.
some of their stuff, like
Fuck
like
me, he's an actor.
yeah,
You look at the Laurel.
but
Just a lot more colour for some reason.
but if you look at some of their stuff, if
Not
you,
much more though. Right?
You're
I love the
laugh.
way you guys just talk over punchline. Like everyone's laughing. You're like, come on, get to the fucking story.
No, so if you watch like an old person, like an older generation, like my granddad and my nan, if you're watching Laurel and Hardy and I watch it, I think it's hilarious, but they'll think...
How old are your grandparents? Dude?
No, but
Sitting
they're...
there with their flat
Yeah.
black and white TVs watching
No,
Laurel and
he's-
Hardy,
yeah.
120
No,
years
but
old.
they've got-
He walks in, his man's got leprosy or something.
My granddad's watching Netflix. Like, how old is your fucking granddad?
Isn't that a guy that got a
He's got
chest
the,
and he lives with them? Comes in with the hat with the bells on.
He got like the box sets of DVDs and that, so like sometimes they'll watch them, but they'll watch something and I go, and they'll think it's dead hilarious, but it'll be something like, like the old slapstick stuff,
Yeah.
which is, it's funny, but it's not.
It's because that
funny.
was what was funny
Yeah,
back in their
that's
day.
what- yeah, that's what I mean.
So
It,
it
like,
is a society. I think,
yeah,
yeah,
back
I
in
get it.
their day.
It's 100%.
It's
society thing.
generational. It's like
Yeah.
we don't do that with music. Like that's you know what I mean. Like we allow people to have different music, but different generations. Like I did a show in Jersey. The guy flew me to Jersey to do a show, but the average age of the audience was like 79. And so I,
You just
I
had
went
to
down.
green light for
I
racism.
just went down as well as I would have, right?
Yeah,
so I'm
yeah,
trying to do, and the guy was like, he shut them out afterwards. He's like, no, he watched me online. And he thinks like they need to get with the times and watch new comedy. I'm like, dude, give the guys Mick Miller. Like, stop.
Yeah,
Like, just
no,
let him
yeah.
listen to his music.
Yeah.
No one has to
Yeah,
like
yeah,
me.
yeah,
You like me. That's great.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
they're fucking
It's
84,
different.
man.
Yeah,
They don't want to
yeah,
hear
yeah.
a South African guy talk
No,
about
yeah.
fucking Yankee candles. You know what I mean? Why?
Wait, what's this Yankee Candle joke?
But it won't land if he does it in a studio.
No.
Will it? That's going to seem live.
Oh,
Dustin
you're-
Moore.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Justin Moore.
Every Tuesday, hot water, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Dusty Davis.
Sorry, just what are we on there? Just that quick.
125.
And I want to fucking hell.
No,
we ain't
that's
got
We've
enough.
got
funny,
to
that
do
is-
it.
that's
Yeah,
enough.
That is flu.
going back to what you said there, no, I feel like obviously, like the same with anything, the same, like no matter how far you go back, like say, as you say, you go back to the 1800s, there was still comedy then.
Yeah.
But it was relative to its time.
Absolutely,
And
man, yes.
there will always be comedy, but it'll always be relative to its time. Because as you said, it's a reflection of society. So
Yeah.
it's always going to be there.
Absolutely, man.
But it's always going to reflect
Yes.
the present time that
Yeah.
it's in. But like you said, that was a very good point. Like, it doesn't happen with music because people still listen to music. Like music's timeless. Like people still listen to
It is.
orchestral music from the 1700s, 1800s.
I
and it's
still love listening to the
Yeah.
Beatles and like
Yeah.
the Four Seasons
It's
and all
interesting,
that.
man.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
comedy is so unevolved compared to music, man.
Yeah.
Like if I say to you guys, hey, afterwards let's go watch some live music, what are you going to say to me? Like you're going to at least ask
Who is
what
it?
type, who
Yeah.
is it, what
Yeah,
genre.
yeah.
I say let's go watch live stand-up. You're not asking any
No.
of those questions.
Yeah.
There's no genres yet. Like
you
we're
know-
not there.
Yeah.
No,
We're
yeah,
still
yeah.
so young.
Yeah,
Comedy
yeah, yeah.
is like, that's why you said, is there a world where comedy exists? Maybe. How long has it existed? Like, we've got to keep it alive.
Yeah.
Do you know why I
that-
think that
that's
is
a good
though?
point,
I
that.
think it's because comedy is one of the only things in the world where it doesn't matter who you are, like your background, your history.
Yeah.
Like funny's
Such a good point.
Like, funny's
Yeah.
funny. Whereas there's certain like you say with like the genres of music, there is certain genres of music which are intentionally created to pander and appeal to a certain sort of like social group of people.
Yes.
Whereas like it doesn't matter if you're like a high class businessman or you're like a little goth or you're just an average everyday man. If something's funny, something's funny.
Yeah.
But it's still
And it's
subjective.
so
though.
accessible, man.
But it's
you
still
don't need anything.
But it's still
Them two
subjective though.
extreme
Yeah, it's still
ends
subjective though. Because if you were going
I love
into
the two conversations once, but
Yeah.
I was getting both of
Yeah,
you.
no, it is still subjective though, because if you were to go in a room full of high rollers and start telling jokes about when you were living in poverty,
They probably find that funny because they hate the poor.
If you can do it well, you can do it funny, man. It's just you making it relevant.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because if you went into a fucking goth and we started selling a load of emo jokes, they're not gonna, you know what I mean?
That's a very specific example. What I meant was
Don't go
like,
into this club and do emo jokes.
Yeah.
Like, I've tried it. It doesn't
but
work.
if you went into a fucking gig and there was a load of emos and you started doing suicide jokes, they'd be like, come on.
no, here's what I'm saying.
I know how his brain works, by the way.
know what I mean?
You do suicide jokes with people who are all still alive in your audience.
They're on the edge.
This makes sense to
They're
you.
on the edge.
You weren't there, man.
They're
You
on
weren't
the edge.
there. No, but
You got so aggressive with the mic there as well. I like that. I was like, yeah, I was about to hand you my phone. Yeah,
smoke shake.
just start chomping my phone. What's this? A fucking Samsung.
It's the old one now.
But fucking, what I meant though was like if you look at music, like anyone can listen to any genre of music, but typically speaking, you associate heavy metal with goths. You associate sort of indie music with horrible, pretentious
it's cultural
people.
identity, man.
People use music as a way to sort of mold their identity and their personality around it, because it's what they can relate to. Whereas if you go to a comedy club, if you go to a concert, like if you go to a concert and there's one band on, the chances are there's going to be a certain type of person there.
Yes.
But if you go to a comedy club, it doesn't matter who's on, it doesn't matter where it is.
Yeah, no, yeah,
The
I get
audience
that,
is
yeah.
going to vary so much.
Do you know what I did think was dead weird though?
man.
Do you know what I did think was dead
You'd
weird?
think- You know why? Because your stereotypes are wrong, dude. Like, I've done jokes, and I'm like, I see an old lady in her 70s. I'm like, oh, she's not... And so
She's the one
on
laughing
board.
the most.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, we're the same thing, dude.
Yeah,
we're just
yeah.
different ages. We're the same underneath. There's something similar in the way we see the world.
Yeah, but when I was
That's
MCing,
what it does.
when I was
Okay.
MCing on Monday, there was on the second row at the very end, right in the centre, there was an old couple, and I'm not the pair of them could have been in the 70s, 80s. They were an old couple, and I was talking about like smoking weed and I was thinking, I don't know, and they were enjoying it more than the 221-year-olds.
Happened to be on Friday, man. I did a show in Southport, and I was closing a theatre gig, and I just did. You know, when I go and do my nonsense, I don't do material. I just have fun, and I did that, and then he came and watched me on Friday. Old guy, man. And he was like, oh, I loved you there. I'm coming to watch you here. Like, so you'd think that being wacky and wild would work for like someone your age. It doesn't. Like, that's the cool thing about comedy. It's like you can really connect with people across ages.
Yeah,
Do you do a lot of crowd work in your comedy?
Sometimes. I used to just do that, but I'm trying to do more like practice right.
Yeah.
I want to be able to do both. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
yeah.
What's your process? Have you even got a process? Because this is what fascinates me, right? I think myself, right, sometimes.
Can I just say, you ask a question and then you explain the process behind the formulation of your question.
Yeah. Right, so
It's also a mind fuck.
He's
you know what I
fucking
mean?
made up.
I'm just intellectual. Right? So I think myself sometimes as quite a funny person, but I don't think myself. I think. I knew he was, I was literally going to say that. So I find myself funny as in situations like this where
you are a funny guy.
Someone will say something and sometimes I'm a bit witty where it's like, oh, and I'll come out with it and whatever. But I don't think I could ever sit myself down and fucking write a joke. I don't think I could ever do it. I don't think I'd have the mental capacity to take
doubt
it and go,
yourself. You doubt it.
It's not that I'm doubting myself. It's more so of, if you're saying something to me, I can react to that and make it sort of witty and funny and get a bit of reaction.
I'll tell you why I think you say that though, right? Is I hear you, but if you don't have a process for writing, then how do you write?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So, for example, I've got a process where I'll write just the truth to start with. Okay. Like, what's the actual story? Like, forget trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Let me speak the truth. And then from there, you're like, okay, like, what's that like? What is it similar? What's the associations? And you can build a process of writing.
Was it-
So that you're not writing a joke. You're going through a process that produces a joke.
Produces
Does it make
a
sense?
punchline.
So I'm
Okay.
sure you can picture
It's like a
yourself doing
production
that.
line, isn't
Was
it?
it
It's
Dave?
not, you don't just get a car.
Yeah.
You've got the chassis which is at the base of the car, and then eventually they put the doors on, then the seats go in, then it's
Yeah.
car.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Was it? I don't know who it was. I think it was Dave Chappelle, and he said, "I know him," and I don't know whether it was a bit or it was the way he does jokes. And he said he'll just put like punchlines in a bowl, and then he'll pull it out and go, right, how can I make a joke out of this?
Yeah, that was on his.
That was a joke. That he did that.
He done that because of a joke. It was in a special closer.
no. But what I'm saying is,
Oh,
like,
so he doesn't actually do that then?
No, it was a whole.
I think he also didn't hijack people when he was delivering Domino's pizza.
It was a
No,
whole.
come on.
He come on stage and he was
with his gun and in the window.
He come on stage and it was a whole bit. He was like, people have been calling me the GOAT. He's like, I'm getting that good at comedy. He's
So I
like,
kicked her in the pussy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the joke.
yeah. He's
No,
like, I don't
I
even
was
like
teasing.
jokes
Sorry, it was a
anymore.
bad
Yeah,
joke.
Oh,
That joke was a bad
okay,
joke.
yeah.
But
Okay.
what I'm saying is that like obviously I know he's taking the piss, but would that be a point of like, could that be a process to writing
You
jokes?
probably could.
Because if you just write a punchline and go,
How can I work
and now
it?
I need
Yeah.
to work in reverse
You
instead of
probably could
going
do
the
it,
other way.
because, like-
you'd have to narrow yourself
I don't
into
know
a
how to
corner.
say it, but you know Gary Delaney?
Yes.
There's an episode on I think the Stuart Goldsmith podcast where he explains that process.
Yeah.
Gary Delaney, is he the
The
kind of
he's
one
the
line?
and he
one-liner,
explains
yeah,
like
he's
how
the
you build one
one-liner.
and then you build that and you build that and it's like a joke nested in the
Yeah,
joke. You
yeah.
can do that.
Yeah, what you've just said then, I think at least anyway, it'd be a lot harder because like when I do it, because as I said before, I don't do like, it's not like short, like joke. It's like a story,
Yes,
but
yeah.
a few little intervals of this might be funny
Yes.
and it leads to a punchline. So like, whereas like I'd think of a story. And then like you're working your way through the story. Oh, that's funny there, and that leads to that, and then you go to there, and then okay, and there's your punchline.
Yeah.
Whereas to write the punchline and pull it out of a bowl, you've then got to make a whole story up that eventually starts and goes all around the world and leads to this.
Because
So I
some
think the
people
difference
would
is,
find it easier, but then it's just
So I think what's the difference, someone said to me, the difference between like an amateur and a professional comic, or that step, is when you start, you find funny things, and then you try shoehorn them into being real.
Yeah.
So you find funny and pretend it's the truth. You know what I mean? But when you step up, you find the truth, and you take the truth and you find the funny from the real. And that's what you do with stories.
Yeah.
You're like, let me tell you the truth and I'll find the funny. That's the...
Okay.
Yeah.
Because also what happens in your brain, if you tell a joke, punchline joke, and you're changing the whole time, you know when you listen to someone doing comedy, you picture the joke in your head, don't you? Like you image.
Yeah.
So
You like
in-
visualize it happening.
So each time you start a joke, you're setting a scene in the mind of your audience. So now if you keep changing that, eventually they get fatigued, man. That's why like sometimes if you've got a one-line comic, it's very hard to do a long set.
Yeah.
Because they're constantly reloading. But if you can take them down a story, it's the same set. So instead of it reloading, it just becomes clearer and clearer and clearer in the mind. And it becomes funnier and funnier.
Yeah. No, that
It's
makes
like
sense. Yeah.
that,
That's like Adam Rowe's special, man. He did an hour on just one thing. Which is mad.
That was
usually-
very,
yeah, no,
very
it's very
well
good to
done.
see that, yeah.
Very
so
well
good.
done.
Like, just that specific skill of being able to tell
The whole
one
thing.
story,
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
thing.
'Cause when
Because you're not looking at new characters, you're just in the story.
And when you're saying about like the quickness though, it's like, have you ever seen the Tim Vine thing? And he makes like, how many jokes is it in an hour?
Oh,
Or
he's
something,
brilliant. Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, and it's like one after another, and it's like he pulls out the thing out of the box. It's like BNAG, fucking that's bang out of order. And then he's got and then he puts his head through a loop, and it's just one after another, and it's like rapid jokes,
Yes.
but it's just proper. Everything's proper
What's
funny.
your preference in terms of comedy? If you were going to see a comedy act, what would you like more storytelling?
Yeah,
would you
I'm a
like more
story
punchline
man.
all the time?
I'm a story.
Also-
I try to do stories. That's why I hope that's evident. You know what I mean?
No,
But
yeah.
Fuck me. But yeah, I prefer stories.
That's
but
your
I
preference,
also
yeah.
enjoy all stories. I mean, I love some wacky stuff. Like Andy Askins.
I don't think I'm on him.
Oh, he's so good, man. He's got like a little guitar and it's wacky and weird and wild, man. It's so
Yeah.
cool. So I think also there's a part where I love the odd brains on comedy.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Paul
yeah.
Campbell. You've watched him?
Yeah.
So cool, man.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be
Do you know,
good, you
do
know?
you know who I really like? He's on, like, you've probably met him just on the circuit and that, and usually there's nothing that makes you want to leave a gig more than when you see someone
Did
go on.
you get the hair? 'Cause you
Yeah,
wanna-
that's it. Yeah.
He did that while you
I
were
just see him in the
talking.
corner.
Why is he disagreeing with what I'm saying? I haven't even said what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm
yet.
just saying no.
But like,
He's like, I'm actually a shy person.
I got Stevie Wonder next to me.
You're fucking confident.
Yeah, it's a
You
little
laugh
bit,
like gold member of Austin Powers. You're like, no! You do. You know what I mean? Can I paint your sugar?
Why do you sound like...
Smoking a pancake.
I need to go watch that now. I watched the movie, but I can't remember.
You know what?
Yeah.
That's so
You
spot
laugh
on.
like gold member.
That's so spot on.
Yeah.
You really do.
When he eats his skin.
like,
That part especially. Yeah, he goes, I'm going to eat the ha. Yeah, he does. That's so spot on.
Hey, fuck all of you, man.
That's so spot on. You need to watch it now, honest to God.
You need to watch gold member when you get it. You know, just listen to his laugh.
Hey, man, I love that.
As soon as you watch it, you go, fuck
So I'll see you at a gig next week and you'll be like,
That's
change
so
it up.
funny,
I'm
you
like
know.
that Samusa guy who robbed people here, and I'm Goldberg. Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's so funny.
But yeah, fuck, I can't remember. Oh yeah. So usually I don't even know why. It's just not usually my preference. But you know when you see a comedian go on stage with a guitar,
Yeah.
Usually I'm like, oh fuck off. But there's a guy called Alex Camp.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
he's
yeah.
based in Manchester, and man,
Yeah,
he's
lovely
fucking
guy.
like
He lived in Asia for a while as well,
Did
man.
he?
In Japan, yeah, just comedy
the
there.
mustache. No, I
Yeah,
can see
he's
that.
cool, and he's such a cool dude,
no,
man,
but
yeah.
that like usually that's not my thing usually
like
at all.
that.
But
I'm
like
that
he's
with
What, with the
comedy.
he's
moustache?
so good at it. He's
No,
so
it
good
didn't
at
like-
it. No, he doesn't like Asians.
There's just a just like the to have something else on the stage to help you with the I'd rather just you speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'm
I've
more of
li-
a speak one as well.
I've
yeah.
got like I like just randomness as well as storytelling, but then
Is something going to happen to me if I eat these?
No.
No,
they're
just
sound
sound. They're just
them.
sound
They're
biscuits.
Full of THC.
no.
So do you like acid then? Or?
Count to
Don't make
six.
you horny, baby.
That's heroin then.
One devil, yo.
Oh, I thought you were doing an Austin Powers joke.
No, I was.
Oh, yeah, okay. Brilliant. Yeah. I thought I was being
As you-
talked about
as you
there.
were, Chris.
Yeah, sorry,
It's
sorry.
but the one-liners, like there's certain one-liners that I don't find funny and certain one-liners that I do, and then but it's just but there's a certain like Anthony Jeselnik does a certain type of comedy, and it's just
I love
like
Anthony Jeselnik.
it's so good because you think he's going one
Yeah,
way
yeah.
and then he just randomly
Have you heard
flips
him
it, and
talk
you just
about
go
it? Yeah.
and you just go. Where did that come
Yeah.
from? But it was so
Yeah.
good.
Do you know
And
what? One of my
it's
favourites,
so
one of my
funny.
favourite Anthony Jeselnik jokes of all time.
Maternity ward. Which one?
I think it's on that special. It's on the and he goes he's like I got sent to a Catholic boarding school when I was a kid. He's like the nuns were vicious. He's like they'd hit you with rulers, canes, whiteboard rubbers, anything to defend themselves. It's so funny. It's so
He's
funny.
so good, man. Did you watch
clever,
this one
though.
with the neighbor?
No,
Yeah, it's like get inside that one.
He says in his latest special, Fire and Tony Ward, he's like, he's got a 90-year-old neighbor.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
I've
Alzheimer's.
seen it.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah,
haven't
that
seen
joke's
it, so
good.
go on, tell me.
Oh, no, I'm not going to tell it. Anthony
So
Jeselnik,
you're
okay,
gonna
I'll
do it,
try.
yeah.
He goes, I got a 90-year-old neighbor, and he's got Alzheimer's, and every day he comes up to me, and he asks me if I've seen his wife, and every day I have to tell him that this old sweet man, that his wife's been dead for 20 years. And he's like, I've thought about moving. I've thought about not answering the door. But to be honest, it's worth it just to see the smile on his face. It's so bad.
It's so good.
It's so funny.
I remember.
No, and you know what he does as well in his set? I listened to an interview. He like tells you a line you don't expect. Then he gives you one that you see it coming. And you're like, I've got him. And then bang, he takes you down again. Like a boxing match. He's so clever.
He's so funny. Like, he's one of my
Like,
favourite comedians ever.
I
Anthony
remember
Jeselnik.
watching
Because
that
he fucks
special.
with you by telling you a joke you see coming.
And
Because then
then-
you're like, I've got the code, baby.
Yeah, you think
And he's
you
like, no,
cracked
that's just, I'm just fucking with you, man.
That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
watching that special on an edible. Lad, it was
But
so
it's sick,
good.
innit?
It's
There's a
so
bit-
good.
I think it's in.
Just watching it when like Joe, you say like when you're watching it and you're going, I've got him. When you're on an edible or something like
Yeah.
that, you're watching it and you're just you're not focused on
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
So you can
You're
just
just enjoying it.
Enjoy
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
And
you
then
got
when
the
he
vibe.
when he says something like that joke, especially that joke, I was crying, laughing that much. My mum came upstairs and went, "What's happened here?" And I was I was in pain. My
Yeah,
boobs were hurting. I was
it's so
laughing that
funny.
much.
Well, I
It
think
was-
another one of his jokes, I can't remember which one of his two Netflix specials it's on. And it's so simple as well. He goes, he's talking about 9/11, and then he goes, he's like, my mum actually should have been on one of the planes that hit the towers on 9/11. I think. He's like, my
Yeah,
mum
as
should have been
far
on one
as
of the
I'm
planes
concerned,
9/11.
Yeah.
I think.
Like he wanted her to be on the thing. He wanted her to die.
Like it makes you think she had a ticket and should have boarded the plane.
Yeah.
He's like, she should have been on the plane. He's like,
I don't know how
anyway.
much more you can do to explain
I
this.
know, yeah, I know, yeah.
I think
I
we've
don't
lost
get that,
Bobby.
I'm not
That's
gonna
okay.
lie.
It's okay,
That's,
it's okay.
that's like enough. That's the end of the podcast.
I don't get that.
And on
Yeah,
that bombshell, guys.
Anyway, what have you got to promote? We're going to
Oh,
finish
yeah,
now, thank you.
before we get
Yeah.
going, have you got anything coming up you want to promote or anything like that?
No, I'm doing the. When's the Leicester comedy?
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, everyone.
No, don't.
The Leicester
Follow
one,
me on
how much?
Instagram, and I started putting videos on Instagram. How's that? I got like 10 now, I think. So that's good.
Yeah.
Well, at the very beginning of the episode, we each
Put it there.
get like a little fancy slide under us with that mushroom and then your Instagram handle coming off
So
it.
that'll be there.
People
yeah.
will
So
already
it's
follow
on
it.
it. Come on,
Can I
there's
wear
nothing else to promote,
being
man.
a man?
No, got no shows or anything coming up or nothing like that, no?
Dude, I'm having a child
Oh,
in
very
10 days.
nice.
That's right.
Oh,
So,
shit.
yeah,
Very
thank
nice.
you.
Congratulations.
I'm the one who deserves all the congratulations.
When's
Yeah.
it? Is it got any shows
28.
coming up?
I
the kid?
think-
No, so I'm taking up November's out the diary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, yeah.
Only in
fair.
December again.
Yeah, well, shit.
Yeah, so.
Well, listen, if
You're taking your paternity for
Yeah,
November.
basically.
Fire
you
in
don't
the
know what's going to
paternity
happen, man.
ward.
So I was like, I don't
Just before we go,
Yes.
is it comedy full time? Is it? Is it don't do
No,
anything
no,
else?
I do work during the week.
Oh, do you work as well? What
yeah.
do you work as?
Just do sales, man.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what are you selling?
Like
Dreams.
Drugs.
Yeah.
anything. Yeah,
Anything I
Yeah,
can get my
selling
hands
dreams,
on.
yeah.
But yeah, if you don't follow Dustin on Instagram anyway, there'll be a link to his Instagram down below in the description. Go and give him a little follow. Show him some support. Thank you, as always, for watching. The links to
Oh,
all of our
lovely
social
time.
medias will be down in the
We've had a
description.
good one. We've had a good
We've
one.
had- again,
It's flu.
Thank you, Dustin,
It
for
has-
coming
Nice,
down.
nice,
Really
Dustin, as
Yeah,
well.
that was
We
lovely.
enjoyed it.
Nice
We
to
appreciate
see
it.
you.
We'll
Good
do
one.
it again sometime.
Love all 3 conversations at once.
Yeah, we'll do it again. We'll do it again in the new year.
Yeah, we'll do it again now.
It's why the people love us, because we've got so many conversations going on as once.
If anything, Dustin, we give them too much to work with.
I think so. They
Yes.
spoiled. Like this felt like a Patreon episode.
Yeah.
you know?
Like we've got DJs, we've got comedians, we've
Fake.
got actors.
Actor.
We've
We've
got-
got actor.
Actor,
We've got
actor,
actor.
okay, yeah.
Yeah,
We're a very versatile
just,
group.
just
That was a false second. We carried on.
Same face.
Yeah. You didn't do anything.
That's
you
like
just,
that
you just
Zoolander
shut your
thing.
mouth.
Lucille.
Well, anyway, before we
My
go
mom
over another
says it
20
was
minutes.
boss. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for watching. We love you as always. The support means the world. We'll see you next week. Take it easy. Love you.
Thank you.